picture-perfect morning in Norman, Oklahoma, as we welcome you to SEC football presented by Allstate. This Oklahoma fan base is looking for some solutions to the offense. If they can find that, they think their dream is still ahead of them. Talking with his coaching staff yesterday, 6 straight wins and all of their goals are right in front of them, but that will take some heavy lifting for an offense that is on pace for its worst season since before the Bob Stoops era, 1998, when John Blake was the head coach. There is some anxiety and anticipation around this team in this current season as they try to solve those woes. And on this Saturday morning, the Sooners take the field in Norman. A season that was filled with such promise still has a lot in front of it. With that, we welcome you to Norman. Tom Hart alongside Cole Kulik. We've got Alyssa Lang down on the field. The biggest question with this Oklahoma team coming into the game today revolves around the quarterback position, and specifically if there may be a change in the future. How do you see things shaking out?
Well, Tom, Brent Venables told us yesterday in meetings, we cannot continue to not score points. If this offense struggles again, not putting up a play over 15 yards last week against Texas, I think you have to make the change. You have to go back to Jackson Arnold and utilize some of the strengths that he gives you in his game that maybe Michael Hawkins Jr. hasn't. There were things in the secondary, coverages, reads that Michael Hawkins Jr. just missed or did not see a week ago, Tom, and you cannot allow that to continue for your offense.
Entirely on the quarterback, and the entire offense is banged up. They'll start another new offensive line, their 6th of the season, this afternoon. Meanwhile, it's a homecoming of sorts for Shane Beamer, who is an assistant previous to taking the South Carolina job under Lincoln Riley. He's on the sideline with Alyssa Lang.
Coach, the message from your players this week has been figuring out how to close the door on big games. What will it take to do that today?
Certainly turnovers are going to be huge in this game, but the biggest thing for us is play winning football. We haven't done enough of that in our close losses, and we just got to finish. You know, we've had the lead going into 2 fourth quarters, and we haven't finished. We got to finish today.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Well, they can finish with one of the best and most chaotic defenses in the SEC, 10th in the nation in sacks per game. And Cole, they got a pair of defensive ends that come crashing down the quarterback with regularity.
Boy, Tom, there's not much defensively that you would rather have than these bookends that the Carolina Gamecocks are going to bring out today. Dylan Stewart might be the most advanced freshman pass rusher I've ever seen. The handwork, the flexibility, the bend, the get off. He is exceptional off the edge. And opposite him, veteran Kyle Kennard, who transfers in from Georgia Tech, has been a terror off the edge. You see 33 tackles for loss in conference play. That's the best in the SEC. And these two are going to have to be managed by this Oklahoma offense. There are ways you can utilize those strengths against them, but it's a dangerous play either way, Tom.
South Carolina won the toss, elected to defer, so Oklahoma's offense will be on the field to start the game. The crowd on hand for this early start in Norman. As two teams meet for the very first time. It's only the 2nd game in the state of Oklahoma for South Carolina. They were on Tulsa time back a few years ago and played one game against the Golden Hurricane here just up the road. We are underway in Norman, and the kick comes down to the 1-yard line. Chance for a return for the Sooners, and out to the 18-yard line, and that's where we will see this Oklahoma offense, which is 101st in the country in rushing, 123rd in passing. They are coming off of a 3-point outing in the Cotton Bowl against Texas. Michael Hawkins, a freshman from Dallas, was handed the reins midway through the Tennessee game. Seth Luttrell and Brent Venables said our offense needed a spark, and he was good in the Auburn start. But as you mentioned, missed some layups last week against Texas. Family history within this Oklahoma program. His dad played for a minute for Bob Stoops back in the early 2000s. His brother will be a Sooner next year. And they want him to throw on first down. Pressured. And finds the other guy. It's intercepted by Nicky Noweri. 3rd interception on this season.
Interception for first down.
for the guy that Mel Kiper has rated the #2 safety in this summer's NFL draft.
Tom, you opened the show with these two defensive ends, and one thing that I just absolutely hate is having a tight end one-on-one in pass protection. Obviously, Jacob Sexton could have helped just a little bit. Bauer Sharp gives up the pressure. Michael Hawkins tries to move left, and what a play by Nick Emenwari to be able to close the space and grab that interception for the Gamecocks.
Well, both of these offenses have struggled, and the coaches made it clear they cannot afford to give the ball up. Unfortunately, both teams have made a habit of doing just that. So a stolen possession for South Carolina. They start in OU territory. Rocket Sanders, a running back with Lenoir Sellers. And that pocket collapses. Sellers escapes, hangs a move, and bends it to the outside. Lenoir Sellers is a first-year starter with a 25-yard scramble.
Boy, how about Rocket Sanders? About 30 yards downfield trying to throw a block for his quarterback. He engaged LeVarden way downfield after that quarterback scramble. Sellers can break you down in a hurry with those legs.
Ball security has been an issue, as I mentioned, for both teams, and specifically Sellers. 9 fumbles, 3 lost over 5 games, including 2 last week in a near win at Alabama. Here's Rocket Sanders, who takes it inside the 10, brought down by Kip Lewis. Sanders is coming off a 7-8-yard performance with a touchdown against Bama.
Dow Loggins told us in meetings, Tom, and told me on the field, Rocket Sanders, he kind of needs to get his legs going. They want that inside zone going early. 10th
in the league in rushing. Sellers trying to find the perimeter and maybe picks up a yard. Ethan Downs there with the stop. Oklahoma has not allowed an opening drive touchdown this year, and the Sooners backs against the wall early.
Zach Alley was a defensive coordinator at Jacksonville State a year ago. The South Carolina offense had some success through the air, hit the slot on the deep post a couple of times, but Tom, in this area of the field, the tight end got them multiple times. So keep an eye on that position for the Gamecocks here.
Alley, the OU defensive coordinator. First man through gets it, and Sanders makes it down to the 3.
We forget what a veteran Rocket Sanders is, Tom, and I loved how Dow Loggins told us that he would come to him and say, Coach, I just need to get my legs going. I just kind of get me loosened up here, you know, get the wheels churning a little bit. And Dow, I know, wants to get Rocket Sanders going early in this ballgame.
First and goal from the 3, 2 tight ends, Joshua Simon and Michael Smith on the field for South Carolina. Opening possession for the Gamecocks after an interception. Sanders bounces to the outside, and he's in. Touchdown, Rocket Sanders in South Carolina. An early strike for the Gamecocks in the short field means they only needed 5 plays to punch it in. Alex Herrera for the point after. And South Carolina's on the board. Rocket Sanders was a wide receiver when he first showed up at Arkansas. He put up a monster sophomore season, and he's getting it going today.
You're going to have to hold the edge over here, and Jaden Kanik is just not going to be able to squeeze that edge down, and then the run bounces to the outside. Got to have contained near the goal line. Oklahoma loses it. Rocket takes it in for the Carolina score.
Roll again, and he hits the curl, and that's J.J. Hester, who stretches it for a near first down. They'll have him, good for a fresh set of downs. It seems like they're trying to keep things simple in the passing game for Hawkins. How does that help?
Well, it gets him into a rhythm, gets him to a groove, and that'll set up things down the road.
Holds it back again and goes out to the flat to his tight end, Jake Roberts, who takes it past midfield, a gain of 6.
So you see how they build there, Tom. The motion on the previous play pulled Nick Emenwari in the slot with the motion. You hit the quick out. Now you utilize that tight end again out in the flat, knowing you're going to get the coverage you want.
Zion Reagan's a true freshman out of Macon, Georgia, getting the start today. He motions to the slot in the top side. He'll flip Jake Roberts over there as well. Hawkins doing a lot of pre-snap traffic directing. Play action again. And he's taken down and loses the football. South Carolina scoops it up. And the Gamecocks, Tonka Hemingway, will walk it in for a 36-yard scoop and score. Demetrius Knight caused the fumble. What a start for Shane Beamer's Gamecocks.
Ruling on the field is a fumble recovered by the defense for a touchdown.
It's not the first touchdown for Hemingway. He had a touchdown run last year, but this disruptive South Carolina defense has forced 2 turnovers in the first 2 Oklahoma possessions. Sooners have run 4 plays, 2 completions, 1 interception, 1 fumble. They have yet to run the football. How soon would number 11 burn the red shirt and enter the game? Point after is good. This is straight havoc from the South Carolina defense.
All right, Tom, we mentioned slide protection on the first play where Hawkins had to move. So you're going to slide it again, and Jake Roberts going to stay in. But because Dylan Stewart gets a win around him, the back, Javante Barnes, has to help. It's a trigger blitz for 17, Demetrius Knight. See him wait to see if the back's staying. Now he's going to go on the pressure. And he just gets the football out on the sack of Michael Hawkins Jr. And Tonka trucks it into the end zone.
Is it enough against these defensive ends to have a tight end and a running back try to block these guys?
You know I hate slide protection just in general because I feel like it takes away the ability to play football. It forces tunnel vision. That time, it's not necessarily the tunnel vision that hurts Oklahoma. It's the fact that your tight end that's on the backside of it, essentially by himself, also must have help from the running back. Javante Barnes is going to scan in that situation if Dylan Stewart doesn't get the win around the edge, and then Demetrius Knight's picked up by the running back.
No return for Oklahoma. Will Jackson Arnold return to the field? He started the first 4 games of the season. The 5-star recruit who also started in the Alamo Bowl to close last season after Dylan Gabriel bounced to Oregon. The coaching staff was clear. We went to Hawkins to get a spark for our offense, but we cannot afford to keep going down this route. Hawkins stays on the field.
To follow up, Tom, slide protection, it can work. You're doing it to get extra bodies in protection, but the ball's got to come out quickly.
Javante Barnes, the running back. Sooners have yet to run it in this game. And the toss, the blocking on the edge, and Barnes picks up good yardage on first down. Gain of 7 on the Sooners' first run of the game. This is their 3rd possessions. The first 2 ended in disaster. They'll run it again. And that's good enough for a first down. And Barnes, a junior out of Las Vegas, Nevada.
You would imagine, Tom, it'll be a little bit more of the zone scheme for the Oklahoma run game than the pin and pull or the gap scheme, counters, powers that they like to go to work out all the movement up front.
Hawkins hands it off for the 3rd straight time, and this one loses a yard. This is an Oklahoma running game that averages just 3.5 yards per carry. Dead last in the SEC in rushing touchdowns and a dead last in rush yards per game, 101st in the country. Hawkins pulls it out, delivers to his tight end Bowers Sharp, and he picks up a couple. And Mark Scott the stop. This Oklahoma offense has had its issues all season. You could argue that it starts with the offensive line, but the run game has been abysmal. The lack of explosive plays, whether through the air or on the ground, as bad as it's been here in a couple generations. 3rd down. Hit from behind. It is intercepted. Free ball for Enaware. He's got his 2nd pick of the game, and he's looking for a block. It's another South Carolina defensive score. A 66-yard pick 6 Dylan Stewart causing issues up front.
Same story. Dylan Stewart just off the left side. We mentioned the flexibility, the usage of hands, gets the pressure on Michael Hawkins Jr., forces the air and throw. Nicky Manwari has played a ton of football in this league, just playing deep middle. Attacks that football and gets a heck of a return. What a block up front from linebacker Bam Martin Scott as well. 22 was way down the field, opening up space for the touchdown.
What a start for South Carolina. 2 defensive scores and a short field touchdown. It is a 21-0 lead, and you've got to wonder, will this be the last snap of the game for Michael Hawkins Jr.? Gamecocks with 2 picks. They both belong to the junior from IRMO, Irmo, South Carolina, Nick Emmanwori. And South Carolina is up 21-0.
SEC Network Football is presented by Allstate. You're in good hands. And in part by T-Mobile 5G Home Internet. Get internet how you want it.
South Carolina has run 5 offensive plays, and the Gamecocks on the road lead 21-0. The last time Oklahoma was down 21 in the opening quarter was the Red River game against Oklahoma in 2021. They came back to win that game in a high-scoring affair. Here's Taylor Tatum. And Tatum trying to find the edge on the kickoff return. He'll give the Sooners a breath of life. There is a flag down.
During the return, holding, return team number 38. 10-yard penalty, first down.
Winklers are white hat. Couple of changes for Oklahoma. You mentioned left tackle Jacob Section has struggled. That caused the interception thrown by Hawkins. He'll be replaced at left tackle. And a rousing ovation for the return of 5-star quarterback Jackson Arnold.
And just put him up on the big screen, in this Oklahoma fan base making some noise as Jackson Arnold re-enters the game. So here's what you get, Tom. I think Jackson Arnold is exceptional in the quick game. He's going to give you better accuracy, the ability to get the ball out a little bit faster. The problem is once you get past that, that's where he has struggled mightily. But as you and I were talking during the break, does it matter if you can't protect your quarterback to that point?
Dylan Stewart and Kyle Kennard are game wreckers on the defensive line for South Carolina. 2 defensive scores are ready for the Gamecocks. Running game with Javante Barnes.
Staying with that inside zone and a nice insert by tight end Jake Roberts. I like the downhill run game from Oklahoma that's had some efficiency here early.
On second down, they run it on the left side, and that's a first down run for Javante Barnes. And probably not a coincidence that they were just replaced their left tackle, Michael Tarquin, who's got a handful of starts on both sides of the line back in. It's been a revolving door after they lost all their starters from last year's team. Barnes tracked down from behind. Gain of half a yard. Tyus Geer with the stop for South Carolina.
They got edge guys growing on trees in Columbia. They just keep throwing them in there. And
Wave after wave.
Geer was way upfield on the previous play where it bounced back, so you kind of use it against them. Then you try to run the split zone. Jake Roberts coming across the line of scrimmage has to retrack and make that block.
Taylor Tatum in the backfield now, will empty for Oklahoma. Jackson Arnold, little bit behind and incomplete. Pass was tipped by Tonka Hemingway coming out of his hands. I noticed a sense of energy from South Carolina during pregame warmups and intensity that's not always there. They came ready to play today.
I think they understand, Tom, how close they are. I think this team realizes we can be dominant in multiple facets, and if we remove a couple mistakes, we're a really good football team.
Alyssa mentioned they have failed to close out games. Late leads against both LSU and Alabama in the 4th quarter. Missed opportunities. Arnold pressured and taken down. Another South Carolina pressure. Tonka Hemingway at the bottom of that pile. Bam Martin Scott made it happen.
This is what South Carolina does extremely well. And it's run games with precision. So twists with precision. And you'll watch right across going to take one defender out, and that's going to allow for the loop man to come around. There's the penetrator. Loop man comes around late, can't even handle the penetrator. And that's where Bam Martin-Scott is able to get for the sack. 6 defenders standing up or on the line of scrimmage there for the Gamecocks.
Fourth possession comes to an end for Oklahoma, but the coaches told us yesterday we need to remember we reserve the right to punt. And their first is fair caught by Juju McDowell at the 22-yard line, a 57-yard punt. Luke Elzinga, the only thing that's gone right for Oklahoma when they've had the ball today. That's not exactly a reassuring mentality. Hey, we reserve the right to punt, especially when you're down 3 touchdowns.
No, that's not what you want, but you do want to see this defense on the field, at least with South Carolina pinned back a little bit and let them potentially tee off. This group right here, Tom, is going to be the one that gets Oklahoma back in this football game.
Well, an abysmal start, especially relative to the first 6 games. Defensive coordinator Zach Alley met with the seniors after the loss to Texas. Said, you missed one opportunity. Do you want Texas again? The answer resounding yes. He said, fine then. Let's go win 6 in a row, and we'll get them again. Lenora Sellers on play action. 4-man rush. Got tripped up trying to get out of the pocket and gets taken down behind the line. Jaden Jackson, the true freshman from Indianapolis, Indiana.
He's been fantastic for this Oklahoma defense this year, both as a penetrator, read, reacts, strike and shed with his hands. Just very advanced for an interior defensive lineman his age.
Loss of 2, 2nd and 12. To the near side. And Gage Larvidan, senior transfer out of Miami of Ohio, who was freshman of the year in the Southland Conference at Southeastern Louisiana prior to his time with the Red Hawks.
This will be an interesting play call situation here for Dow Loggins. You've got quarterback run at your disposal. You have a good group of tight ends at your disposal. 3rd and 6, kind of that midway of, do we want to drop our quarterback back against an aggressive defense or just kind of play it safe?
Oklahoma, great takeaway defense. Sellers looking for Simon, the tight end. Instead, adjusts and goes over the middle for the first down to Dre Jacobs, Florida State transfer.
And we asked Dow Loggins about this part of Lenora Sellers' game, Tom, and it's attacking the middle of the field. Nice job handling the twist inside by the center and 2 guards. Not many young quarterbacks are comfortable attacking the middle of the field. Dow Loggins realized it early, and he's not afraid to dial it up for Lenora Sellers.
This is a complete offensive reset than where South Carolina was the last couple of years with Spencer Rattler as its quarterback. The Oklahoma transfer ran an up-tempo, pass-first offense, and the result of the adjustment by Dow Loggins is one of the best rushing seasons in recent memory for Carolina.
And I love how he told you he went and got that binder from Fayetteville in his time at Arkansas with Matt Jones and Darren McFadden and those guys. Some of the veer plays, mid-zone option plays they ran.
Quick release for Sellers. And that'll bring up 3rd down. First catch from Majio Bennett.
I would imagine Dow Loggins has a little confidence right now with how his offensive line has held up in the drop-back game thus far. Slot post was big-time effective against Zach Alley's defense at Jacksonville State a year ago. So you've got trips up top. Could be one where they take advantage down the middle of the field here.
Xavier Legette now with the Panthers went for 217 and 2 touchdowns in that game on just 9 catches. Option look. Sellers keeps it, cuts up field, and that run first offense playing conservative here with Danny Stutzman in on the stop for Oklahoma.
I don't have a problem with it. I talked to Shane Beamer on the field, Tom. We were actually talking about special teams and do you have a fake, this, that, whatever. And he said it all depends on how the game's going, the flow of the game.
I had a very specific conversation with Dow Loggins, South Carolina's offensive coordinator, right before kickoff in the press box. I said, how does the thought that this could be a low-scoring game impact your play calling? And he said, listen, if they're having a hard time scoring the ball, we will be conservative. There's no reason to give them a short field or take chances. Kai Kroger having an All-American season as a punter. And that one just carries into the end zone off the hop, a 53-yard boot for Kroger. Oklahoma's got to figure it out on offense. So far, they've had issues. Two different quarterbacks. We'll see Jackson Arnold again in a moment. It's a deep hole for this Oklahoma offense, but Cole, you identified one of their schemes that could be effective today against an aggressive South Carolina defensive front.
We haven't seen a lot of gap scheme yet, Tom. Pin and pull, which Oklahoma has been great at it traditionally over the years. So you're going to block back with a couple of your offensive linemen, form sort of a wall, and you're going to pull the others around, trying to create a new gap. So counter, power, when you hear those words, that's what you're getting with a gap scheme run. You see there one with Jackson Arnold running it. That was a couple weeks ago. Well, here's how South Carolina played it against Alabama. Right side of your screen, you'll see Dylan Stewart just absolutely blow up Jam Miller, but Jalen Milroe makes a great read. You utilize that ability to get upfield against the South Carolina defender. There's the new gap you created, and you can find explosive plays. The problem, Tom, is there hasn't been a lot of rhythm with this Oklahoma offense to get a feel of how the Carolina defense is going to play certain plays. Right now, you're almost drawing straws to try and find something that works.
Kyle Kennard and Dylan Stewart and everybody in that front seven has been wrecking the game, and a huge hit to stop Javante Barnes. Demetrius Knight, who forced a fumble on the opening possession.
Another split zone there. Just stay with the zone scheme a little bit safer and have your tight end come right across the line of scrimmage at one of those edge defenders.
Talk with defensive coordinator Clayton White before the game, and he said the prep for this Oklahoma offense is similar no matter who's at quarterback because of Jackson Arnold's athleticism. Arnold's run for 138 yards so far in this season through 4 starts, and a powerful run straight up the middle for Barnes again.
Nice job there by Troy Everett, who's back at center. They're excited to have him back at center. Brent Venables and this offensive staff, Bill Bedenbaugh, said he just brings a little extra juice, extra energy to this offensive line.
And his season debut last week at the Cotton Bowl against Texas, injured his knee in the spring. Arnold batted away, and that'll bring a flag. Judge Collier will be flagged for pass interference on Brennan Thompson.
Pass interference, defense number 20. Automatic first down at the spot on the foul.
Well, the thing that I like, quick game, we mentioned it earlier. Jackson Arnold excels with it. Gets this ball out on time. It's great coverage by Collier. Just a little bit of early contact, but that ball is low and outside to where the defender's not going to have a chance to intercept it. And you get a little bit of momentum with the penalty.
Arnold gets smoked right at the line of scrimmage by Debo Williams.
Tom, you were talking just a few minutes ago about how the offense doesn't necessarily change. Well, neither has Jackson Arnold's prep. Coach Venables yesterday.
Arnold looks left and rolls right. Down the sideline and too strong. Trying to find J.J. Hester.
Yesterday, he was telling us that the message to Jackson has been stay ready. You never know when we may need you to come in and provide that spark that Michael Hawkins Jr. provided us. We got here at about 9:30 this morning, guys. Jackson was the first one I saw on the field out here in sweats going through his warm-up. Certainly a guy who you can tell has been ready to get back out here and take this chance once he gets it.
Yeah, Brent Venables said, listen, my job as a head coach, no matter who the backup quarterback is to keep him engaged. He did the same thing with Michael Hawkins Jr. at the beginning of the season. Pressure again and smoked again. Did Arnold hold on? Looked like the ball came loose and the Sooners pounced on it.
Ruling on the field is a fumble recovered by the offense. 4th down.
Fabechi Wiwu able to recover it after Brian Thomas forced it out. Gamecocks coming in waves on that defensive line.
You know, we mentioned they grow the edge defenders on trees. Watch the handwork from Brian Thomas. You'll get a late linebacker blitz as well. Look at swipe the hands, rip through. A missed assignment on the inside after Thomas gets that initial pressure. And that's Debo Williams with a little bit of a swim move as well to just finish it off on Jackson Arnold.
3rd sack of the game for South Carolina. McDowell spins away from the first, can't lose the second. 46-yard punt, nothing on the return for Juju McDowell. And so for Lenoris Sellers, a first-year starter who has had his own ball security issues, it really puts an onus on not necessarily being conservative, but taking care of the football with a 21-0 lead.
Extra precaution with that ball, having an understanding. It's just situational awareness. I think sometimes, Tom, we obsess with situational awareness as, oh, it's short yardage or we're in the red zone. Situational awareness is you're up 21-0 early in this football game.
9 fumbles, 3 of them lost for Sellers, and some of them happened in aggressive moments. And Dow Loggins and Shane Beamer both said we don't want to put restraints on our quarterback. He's young, he's athletic, he's going to make mistakes sometimes, but the basics have to be executed. Here's Oscar Attaway. Attaway has nowhere to go. Kip Lewis with the stop, and those basics include simple play action where twice Rocket Sanders has held onto the ball too long and caused fumbles with each of their 2 quarterbacks, with Sellers last week against Alabama and with Robbie Ashford in the Ole Miss game. 2nd down 9. Sellers to throw. Leaves the pocket and lobs it to the OU sideline.
Some late pressure there coming from that Oklahoma defense. But Lenore Sellers does an excellent job, in my opinion, of being patient exiting the pocket. He's not in a hurry to run, but knows when he does need to get outside, he can do it in a hurry. Also keeps his eyes downfield trying to find plays like he just did there.
As our Mason Thomas found his way to the backfield. Sellers out of the shotgun. 4-man rush. They came free, trying to set up the screen, and it's dumped incomplete. Andy Stutzman came flying up. They got it.
Tried to set up the screen to the right, Tom, but they had a little pick play for Nicholas Harbor on the opposite side of the field. So a little bit of a read there for Sellers, but that pressure wasn't going to allow him to get to it.
Is it slow developing, too slow developing against pressure?
Against Danny Stutzman blitzing you, yes, it is.
7th in the conference in tackles per game for the sophomore from Windermere, Florida. Kai Kroger to punt it away. Peyton Bowen is back for Oklahoma. Unbalanced line for this formation of punting. And Kroger drills it. This guy's going to the league. He's got a great leg, and that one travels 55 yards. Time to take a look at today's Capital One rewarding performance. What is start for Carolina?
We mentioned these edge defenders in the open for a reason. There's Dylan Stewart off of one side, helping force the interception by Nick Imawari. The linebackers like Demetrius Knight, who runs 22 miles an hour, have turned the football loose for Tonka Hemingway to scoop and score a touchdown. There's Dylan Stewart pressure again. Imawari, another interception. He would take this one to the house as well, with just a load of teammates looking to block. More pressure coming off the edge from Brian Thomas. Debo Williams on the blitz. It has been nightmarish in the pocket for these Oklahoma quarterbacks this morning.
It bears mentioning that with seeing the field today, Jackson Arnold has lost the opportunity to redshirt, hands it off, and Taylor Tatum, freshman out of Longview, Texas, with a positive run on 1st down. And to Alyssa's point a moment ago, when we asked Brent Venables about Arnold's demeanor throughout all of this, is that he prepares like he's going to play each and every game. He's getting his prep work in, and he's doing the film work. In this day and age, there's a lot of people involved in that decision. Another positive run, and Tatum.
I want to follow up on that with Jackson Arnold, Tom, because there's so many reasons for teammates not to act that way or be that way this day and age. And everyone inside that facility says he's just been unbelievable.
3rd and short. Tatum changes direction, picks up the Oklahoma 1st down.
Sometimes you hear from the head coach. Brent Venables told us he's been great, man. He's done exactly what we need him to do. And then Seth Luttrell, the offensive coordinator, says that. Well, I talked to Ty Hatcher, who's a member of this staff, his dad, Chris Hatcher, the head coach at Samford. And he said, listen, he has been an unbelievable kid. He's been a great help to Michael. We could not have asked him to handle this situation any better. We don't hear a ton of that in today's college football. So kudos to Jackson Arnold.
Arnold against Tennessee, 7 for 16 for 54 yards and a pick.
This is the end of the 1st quarter.
The Palace on the Prairie sees an abysmal 1st quarter for the home team. South Carolina with 2 defensive scores, a pair of interceptions, Oklahoma led 3-0 after the first quarter last week. Since then, they've outscored 55-0. Back to SEC football, presented by Allstate. A big lead for the visiting Gamecocks, and Shane Beamer's return to Norman.
Coach, heck of a start by your defense. How do they keep their foot on the gas here?
Yeah, just that. You know, every week for us, one of the ways we win football games is to win the turnover battle. Our number one key to the game this week was to dominate the turnover battle. And I think Nicky Manwari took that personal as well. What a start. We knew points were going to be hard today against this defense. They're tough, as you can see, but great start. Now we got to keep it going. We got a long way to go.
Thank you, Coach.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you, Alyssa. To his point, Emmanwori now leads the SEC in interceptions with 2 today and 2 coming into the day. But the tone for Shane Beamer is, I know how tough it can be to win on the road, and you're sitting on a 3-touchdown lead. A little bit of nervousness.
A little nervous for 21-0 right there, I thought. Yeah.
Back to the ground game. And a couple of yards for Javante Barnes. We mentioned this earlier. The last time Oklahoma trailed by 21 points in the first quarter was against Texas in 2021. That was a game where Spencer Rattler was lifted for Dylan Gabriel. And Gabriel, pardon me, for Caleb Williams, excuse me. So many good quarterbacks in Oklahoma history. Lifted for Caleb Williams, and he led them to a 55-48 win. Carolina backed off the blitz, and the ball is dropped by Bowers Sharp. By the way, Spencer is no shrinking violet. He is tweeting today, #GoGamecocks. Nice to see him watching.
The double emoji, like eyes covered, barely peeking through. Not sure if he likes what he's seeing, doesn't like what he's seeing. Obviously has emotions for both of these programs. A nice route combination here. Bowers Sharp able to get open in the flat. That is not how you help a struggling offense or quarterback, by dropping balls right in your belly.
So 3 and out for Oklahoma. And they're going to fake it. Ozinga delivers to the side, but he is taken down. Bowers Sharp can't advance it. Demetrius Knight played it perfectly. People talk about Beamer ball and how they're aggressive in special teams. Offensively, they are also in tune to what the opposition does. Shane telling me before the game, we know that they have some tricks up their sleeve. We can't afford to give those up.
Well, I'm not sure why you would try this against someone who ultimately has had a plan for everything in life. And you'll see Knight just kind of motion out here. Looks like he has an idea of what's going to come his way. Eyes on the player in the backfield, and then just attack mode. Tom, this is a guy that's married with a child. Said to Clayton White, defense coordinator, boy, that'd be tough to manage, tough to handle. He said, no, this young man told me he had a plan. He knew exactly how he wanted it to go. He had it all under control. Obviously had a plan on that special teams play as well.
His 6th year of college football, transferred in from Charlotte. Demetrius Knight. Here's Rocket Sanders off the left side.
Boy, a lot of movement on the interior of this offensive line. Watch center and right guard. This combination here, Tom, you talk about getting a push. Going for a ride. Comes off a little bit late.
Sorry, that right guard, Torricelli Simpkins III, transferred in from North Carolina Central. He was first team All-MEAC. Great penetration up front for Oklahoma. They stop Sanders behind the line. And a host of Sooners in there to clean it up, led by Trace Ford, Oklahoma State transfer.
This one's going to be on Michael Smith, and he's a young tight end. He'll understand how to change that track later. So you got to get north and south late. When you're coming across on that split zone, somebody like these edge defenders, Trace Ford, the speed he has off the edge, you cannot come flat down the line of scrimmage and feel like you're going to make contact there.
3rd and 14 for the redshirt freshman Lenoris Sellers, Lawrence, South Carolina native. Out of the pistol, Sellers pulls it back, evades the rush, and will take off running. Sleight of hand for Sellers, allowed that play to develop short of the first down, but field goal range. Trace Ford got caught in between as he was crashing down from the edge.
Well, he was the read player. Lenoris Sellers knew he had him. The little ball fake is kind of what threw me off when he swiped it down after he fakes out the defender, but able to get ahead for a decent pickup on 3rd and long.
Alex Herrera on for South Carolina. And Joe DiCamillo is their special teams coach. So we have a pro operation. Long snapper holder. And Herrera doesn't have the strongest of legs, but this from 39 well within his range. And puts it through to extend the South Carolina advantage. Carolina gifted a short field on the failed fake punt.
And once again, Demetrius Knight, 17 for this Carolina defense. Had an idea it was coming. Heat-seeking missile on Bauer Sharp to take the fake away.
Been a picture-perfect weekend for everything except for football here in Norman, including the Mott. I head over there post-game, grab the Sooner Swirl. You in?
I probably need to know the ingredients first.
Yeah, just have a Sooner Swirl. You'll be fine. Nothing on the return for Oklahoma. Oklahoma's own Dari Noka turned me on to the Mott. Two different quarterbacks today. Michael Hawkins Jr. started, and then Jackson Arnold taking over. South Carolina has taken advantage of its great field position, a fake punt that led to a short field and a field goal, and an interception early. Also a pick six and a fumble recovery score. Arnold has not completed a pass just yet, 0 for 3. Came in hitting 60%, but 3 interceptions to go with his 7 touchdowns. Pocket collapses and Arnold slides down at the 30-yard line.
That's a good decision by Jackson Arnold. I like the fact he's decisive there. You get a late pressure with a twist on the right side of your offensive line. A little bit of push comes in. Tuck the ball and get out of harm's way.
A fake the jet sweep, and then Arnold gets smashed at the line of scrimmage by T.J. Sanders. Debo Williams was also there. Williams is not the first Debo in South Carolina history, but he can still say that's my bike, punk.
Well, you see big 90 on just a little slant there, getting that disruption in the backfield, allowing Debo Williams to come in and clean it up. These D tackles don't get near enough love for how good they are either.
On 3rd and 7, quick release to the perimeter. Reagans has nowhere to go. Nick Emmanwori stuffs that play.
Urgency, Tom, is what comes to mind on plays like this. You're going to run a screen. You need a block. You need someone to get out and at least make life difficult on a defender. And Spencer Brown's in a tackle, and it's just a little bit of lollygag late. You got to haul rear end out there to the sideline. And even if you don't make contact with someone, force them to retrack, move, go around you to give your ball carrier a chance.
They'll zing it to punt it away again. Fake the last one. This one has great hang time. Juju McDowell from the 32. McDowell tried to reverse course and ends up after a 48-yard punt with a 13-yard return. South Carolina with a commanding 24-0 lead in its first ever matchup with Oklahoma, and Nick Emmanwori has led the way for the Gamecocks defense.
With a 12-team CFP, what's the magic number this season? Used to be the number to get in was 0, as in 0 losses. Now it could be 1, 2. It's exhausting. So you know what? Just focus on the magic number that always matters. 1, as in win all the games you can to be number 1 at season's end.
A couple big games in the SEC today, including one in Knoxville, and the chance to make the playoff hinges on what feels like an elimination game. Alabama's odds with a win are at 86%. With a loss, they dropped to 49%. Similar numbers for Tennessee.
You see that game that way? I don't view it as kind of an elimination game for those two teams.
Hey guys, Coach Beamer just came over to me on the sideline. He said, Alyssa, see if you like flea flickers here. So keep your eyes open, Cole.
Okay.
Shane feeling himself here a little bit, huh?
Shane likes a flea flicker like he likes the nachos at the Mott. Sellers keeps it and dumps it off to his tight end, Joshua Simon. Was this where the flea flicker could have come a play ago?
It looked like he may have hesitated for a moment there, thought about pitching it back, and then held on to it.
Four-man rush with a spy. Sellers nearly picked off. Samuel Omosigho had great coverage, and Oklahoma, chaotic defense in its own right, really needs a play to come from that 11 on the field and help them get some momentum today.
Left side of your screen, another great pass rush rep from Trace Ford, who's just super explosive off the edge, able to get to Lenora Sellers late. Probably held that one a tad too long.
Ford from up the road in Edmond. Started his career at Oklahoma State. What a heart-wrenching loss for the Cowboys on the road in Provo last night. Not sure anybody in Crimson minded that result. 57-yard punt. Look at the drive chart for Oklahoma through 7 possessions. And 4 of them ended up handing South Carolina the ball, including the first 3, and the fake punt 2 drives ago was a turnover on downs.
Rhythm needs to be found by this Oklahoma offense, and with the pressure, the penetration that has been consistent, it's just going to be difficult for Seth Littrell to dial that up consistently.
Jackson Arnold was the #1 dual threat quarterback in the country, according to ESPN, coming out of Denton Guyer. He finds Javante Barnes on the toss, and he springs free, and somehow Oklahoma has Barnes running down the sideline. There's a flag back at the 30. How did he get out of there? If it stands, it's a 60-yard game.
Personal foul, illegal blindside block, offense number 76. 15-yard penalty, replay first half.
And upon further review, I'm not sure Barnes ever hit the ground.
I don't think he did. Oh, jeez.
Well, his elbow and knee were both down, so that would have wiped it off anyway with another look at it at the 25, and then 76.
Jacob Sexton right there. He passed him up the first time and then sort of retracted.
The runner was down at the 24-yard line. The personal foul will be assessed half the distance to the goal.
You know, you feel like for Oklahoma, it's a lot of getting in their own way. They're just that close, and this coaching staff said, hey, we had a 7-3 game at the Cotton Bowl with like 2.5 minutes to go in the second quarter. And then a couple mistakes, failure to hustle after a fumble in the end zone, missed assignment here, there, and next thing you know, everything snowballed on us. And that's how this game started today. Arnold going deep into double coverage and off the hand of J.J. Hester. Good help from the safety. This is an Oklahoma team which is dead last in the SEC and one of the worst in the country in explosive plays.
I like the shot, though, Tom. J.J. Hester, close to 6'6", has good speed down the field. Fans want a little extra contact. That's off the fingertips. That's an opportunity play for the Sooner offense, and I thought Jackson Arnold put it in a good spot.
Only 13 plays of 20 yards or more this season. That is second worst in the country. Only Kennesaw State is behind him. Completion to Jacob Jordan. First catch of the season and the career for the freshman from South Lake Carroll High School.
That's a quick game again. Jackson Arnold very comfortable there when the timing and the rhythm tells him when to get the football out.
5 different receivers injured for Oklahoma has stunted this offense's ability. We thought we might see Deion Burks, but he was unable to go today after a soft tissue injury back in the Tennessee game. Third down 8. Where does Arnold go here? They bring pressure. 6 coming after him. And Arnold leaves the pocket and picks up the first down with his legs.
Boy, that was closer than maybe it had to be. DQ Smith, #1 for South Carolina, does a really nice job of sort of redirecting Jackson Arnold, because I thought if he cuts back into the field, he's got plenty of green. Smith sort of negated that, leveraged the ball carrier to the sideline. Boy, Roman Harper would be proud.
Carolina brings 2 more this time. And all alone on the perimeter is Jacob Jordan. He's still on his feet and forced down at the 40 to the South Carolina sideline. But with all those wide receiver injuries, opportunities for some youngsters.
Well, just trailing in coverage. South Carolina had to switch off receivers over in the flat. Hook defender not able to get there in time, and then an excellent move from Jacob Jordan.
First 2 catches of his career, now his 3rd. Jordan taken down inbounds. Eman Worry with the stop. Midway through 2nd quarter. And the offense for Oklahoma finally finding a rhythm.
Starting to get a little rhythm, starting to get a little feel. Jackson Arnold getting a little more confident. Keep giving him these kind of throws. Force the South Carolina defense to play you a different way.
Tatum in at running back, #1 running back in the country coming out of high school last year. Fake to him, got him on the wheel route, and there's Tatum. Tatum with a stop and go, takes it to the 20-yard line. And Oklahoma first down. Arnold to Tatum.
It's an excellent job at using that motion against the defense. You see motion coming behind. Tatum leaves to your right. And it's just a busted coverage by Debo Williams.
And a whistle pre-snap. South Carolina takes a timeout.
Timeout. South Carolina there first.
It's a drive that started back at the 18-yard line. Sooners with their 8th play of this drive when we return. While we're in break, Shane Beamer was fired up. There is a different level of intensity on this Saturday afternoon for South Carolina, which forced Oklahoma to end its first 3 drives with a turnover for the first time since an SEC team since Florida in the 2020 Cotton Bowl against Oklahoma. Jackson Arnold, play action, shot to the end zone, batted away, incomplete. Judge Collier with the coverage. And Ivan Carrion, the 6'6" freshman.
A lot of hand fighting on this play. Oklahoma fans obviously wanted the flag. But you see Collier is in phase and locates the football and then makes a play on the football. So I don't think you throw the flag on that play. I do like how Seth Littrell is keeping it spread out the last couple of plays since that timeout. Now looks to compress it just a little bit more.
Pressure up front from South Carolina. Arnold on the run. Held it too long and can only throw it away.
The corner route was there. He would have had to let it go pretty quick, and there's nobody in his face, but had an opportunity to drop that one back to the back of the end zone. I do like Seth Littrell, offensive coordinator for Oklahoma, moving the pocket. Give him the 1-2, either tuck it, run, throw the football away. If you're not going to hit that corner route early, good decision by Jackson Arnold. Just live the fight for 3rd down.
Seth talking about what South Carolina does defensively. He said these defensive ends are so good, but they're also sporadic and unpredictable. And there's a lot of movement up front that Clayton White, the DC, picked up in the offseason. Arnold pressured and goes down. Another sack for South Carolina. The big truck, Tonka Hemingway.
Both defensive ends are going to be in the backfield, Tom. And we mentioned the penetrators oftentimes disrupt more than the loop men do. The loop man's supposed to make the sack on this play. Watch 91. He just bowls through the center like a Tonka truck and ends up in the backfield and gets the sack.
It's nothing more dangerous to a toddler than that old metal Tonka truck. Plastic ones are.
Broke my collarbone on one of those as a kid.
You did. 43-yard attempt for Zach Schmidt. And the sidewinder gets through. Oklahoma finds some offense, only 6 points in its last 5 quarters of football. and that spans 17 possessions, going back to that field goal in the first quarter against Texas. Sooner Schooner has been put in park until that three-pointer.
Some of the numbers with this offense obviously tough to digest. Let's go to the silver linings of that last drive. I do think you got Jackson Arnold comfortable at times. He found a little bit of a rhythm. So can Seth Littrell cherry pick a couple of those plays, formations, continue to build off those, and find more momentum throughout the course of this game? Either way, as you and I discussed earlier, Tom, you have to manage things up front. And you had a penetrator on a twist that bowls right into your quarterback on that last play, with both edge defenders collapsing the pocket anyway. Have to offset some of that.
Sometimes you need a little bit of shade for that iPad as Oklahoma staff goes to work identifying what went wrong and what continues to go wrong. Brent Venables said, I made myself present in the offensive meeting room a couple of times this season to point people to just what the margin of error is, and everybody has to do your job. He said it wasn't an angry you messed up. If you make a mistake, we make a mistake. If I miss an assignment, we've all missed the assignment. And those missed assignments in the first three possessions led to a 21-0 South Carolina lead.
Well, I like some of the things that Coach Venables told us in our meetings. You don't change the script now as to who you are, what you do, and how you do things. But to follow your point, Tom also said, if you don't take responsibility, there will be no growth. So I don't think it's a blame game. I don't think it's trying to embarrass guys. But you have to have individuals step up and say, you know what? I didn't get enough depth on that route. You know what? I didn't get enough depth or width on that pass set. Therefore, I gave up the pressure.
Sellers off play action. Fires on the deep crosser, and that's good for a South Carolina first down to Dre Jacobs in a gain of 20.
And to what you guys were just talking about, Brent Venables talking about their two losses, right? To two top 10 teams in the country. He said, we got to look in the mirror and we got to see, is it them or is it us? Starting to peel back the layers of that onion, like that punch out last week that Silas Bolden jumps on in the end zone. One of those moments that helps those games get away.
Back to the ground game, to the logo, and a gain of 4 on first down. Oscar Attaway played for Seth Littrell at North Texas. Spent 4 years Main Green, tore his ACL in fall camp and missed all of 2021. Second down 6. An orbit motion again, and a runoff tackle picks up maybe a yard for Attaway. The 2 touchdowns in the Auburn game for South Carolina. And that'll set up 3rd and 5. What do you like here if you're South Carolina?
I like the middle of the field. Now, it depends on the look that you're going to get, but we mentioned earlier, Lenore Sellers not afraid to attack it. Tight ends had success against Zach Alley's defense when he was at Jacksonville State a year ago. But you'll get 2 deep safety, so maybe not as much open there. Motion could help that with rotation.
He's a great runner, stands tall in the pocket and floated that one incomplete. He got pressured. And Oklahoma getting some penetration up front. That included Ethan Downs, a little slow getting up after the play.
And this is Jaden Jackson again. Just a really nice push. He widens out in a 3-man front.
They're going to keep the offense on the field on 4th and 5. 8 of 14 on the season on 4th downs. South Carolina has held momentum. Oklahoma jump. Sellers with a free shot down the sideline. And just off the fingertips of Larvadain. R. Mason Thomas on the near side crossed the line, and that will be an automatic first down.
Offside. Defense number 32 was in the neutral zone at the snap. 5-yard penalty. Still 4th down. Correction. First down.
Needed 5, gifted 5.
You see near side, 2 defenders really for Oklahoma jump. Go ahead and try to execute the play, get that ball downfield. Beautiful ball from Sellers there, just off the fingertips.
I didn't see a hard count or anything that drew them, but Jackson's movement got Downs to move. Rocket Sanders back in a running back. Sanders straight ahead. pickup of 2.
Danny Stutzman does an excellent job scraping under the double team. Really nice push once again in the middle of the South Carolina offensive line. And sometimes you're going to give that up with movement. You'll run a twist inside and defenders kind of giving ground to gain ground, and you get double, get caught on that. But Stutzman went back underneath it to make that play.
Stutzman, the team leader for this OU squad. He said they reinforced to everybody. We're 4-2, not 2-4. 5-man rush. Sellers. Good job by the O-line. Rocket Sanders gets popped, stays on his feet, and ends up near the first down marker. What an effort by Rocket Sanders. He is just short of the first down.
I felt pretty good about this South Carolina pass protection today, and Rocket Sanders just like a pinball. Stutzman, one of the Oklahoma defenders, had a free shot at him and comes up just a bit short of first down yardage. Excellent effort.
So 3rd and short. We had Sanders' game against Ole Miss a few years ago. He was at Arkansas playing for former OU assistant Sam Pittman. He went for 232 yards and 3 touchdowns. Straight ahead, and South Carolina picks up the first down. So that'll take us to the 2-minute timeout here in Norman, with South Carolina jump started to a 21-0 lead, and it's a 21-point advantage as we move towards the end of the first half. And their first ever meeting, South Carolina coming on the road and showing what they have to offer with a comfortable lead.
What's up, y'all? Coming up on the Farm Ridge halftime report right behind me. We'll get ready for that second half. We'll also get you a monster game between Tennessee and Alabama. Top 5 matchup over in Austin. But Chris Story and Benjamin Watson, they're doing their Cole Cubelic read and react model. They got to break down some film at half.
There's a lot to break down for this Oklahoma offense. Certainly. Thank you, Peter. Great to have you on the road with us today. Sellers steps back, wants to go deep, wide open. Touchdown, South Carolina. A 33-yard strike to Joshua Simon. Well played, Lenora Sellers, and the Gamecocks extend their lead. Well, the South Carolina staff has bragged on Lenora Sellers that he's made of the right stuff and very mature for his age. South Carolina lines up to show they're going for 2. And they will with a direct snap and a hard hit, but it is a 2-point conversion for the Gamecocks. And everything rolling Carolina's way as Maurice Brown II takes a shotgun snap and powers in for the lead.
All right, Tom, you start out in a cover 2, and it looks as though it's a bump call right there to the opposite safety to come over and take the deep third. It's not going to be covered because this route's going to take the safety back in. The delay on the slot wheel right there to the end zone. Frontside safety's not going to be able to get over and cover that much ground. I think that early return orbit motion that Dowell Loggins put on that play helped a little bit. And Joshua Simon able to get into the end zone, and then the wonky formation for the 2-point conversion.
Shane Beamer, all sorts of fired up. You know, in the offseason, he brought in Joe DeCamillis, a longtime NFL special teams coach. And he said, you know, during the interview, I broke out a binder. I meet with him 3 times a week and says, here's all the things I got. What do you got? And Joe said, I've never had an interview with a head coach like that before. Of course, his dad, Shane's dad, Frank, brought to life all their great special teams play that brought Beamer ball into the college football lexicon, and he has carried it over in Columbia. What a onside kick by Kai Kroger last week, by the way, to stay in the game against Alabama.
It's awesome.
DeCamillis brought that with him from the NFL. They ran it a couple of times when he was with Los Angeles.
He never had anybody in an interview basically say, here are my cards, show me yours.
That's right. No, never like that. It's a drop kick by Kai Kroger. And he said that the danger is if you get it in the air, obviously the defense can fair catch it, but this one with a sidewinder. Shane compared it to a golf swing. It's kind of like a baby fade. It just keeps moving and keeps moving. Mine would be a power slice, but
well, we went from the big hop on onside kick, right, to where we would go down and just blow people up.
Can't do that anymore.
Can't do that anymore. And then you got to find other ways to make it difficult to receive.
E. Camillus is the son-in-law of the late, great Dan Reeves, who played at South Carolina before his NFL success. Arnold, ball came out again. Demetrius Knight forced it out, but Arnold lucky to get it back. It's his second forced fumble for Knight. And Oklahoma quickly back on the ball. And they get the snap off, and Arnold fires it to Carolina bench. What'd you see? Immediate recovery by Arnold?
I believe so. There's that punch that we've heard Shane Beamer and Clayton White talk about that they put such an emphasis on. That's right on the ball, too, Demetrius Knight. I mean, that is just like Mike Tyson's punch out hitting Glass Joe, Little Mac.
A kick save and a beauty for Jackson Arnold. On 2nd and 10. Incomplete to Bauer Sharp. Second one that's hit his hands and fallen off today. He got off to such a great start this season. Scored Oklahoma's first touchdown of the year in the game against Temple. They're down 10. And Oklahoma unsure of things. The wide receiver on the far side didn't have the play call.
Timeout. Oklahoma, they're first. It will be 30 seconds.
So the Sooners take a 30-second timeout with 1:28 to go in the half. Down 32-3. Coming up at the half, you can watch a live performance of the Pride of Oklahoma. That's on SEC Network Plus. So you don't miss a note. Start streaming now on the ESPN app.
I'm going to go back to your conversation about Shane Beamer and special teams. He told me on the field before the game, he said the problem is when you have a special teams coach as your head coach, you waste a lot of time just trying to find out random things to do on special teams. And he said, Cole, as you know, those kickers and snappers, they go to the facility or go out on the fields and, they just grab ass around for hours at a time, which they do. I mean, our guys used to go play PlayStation and two-hand touch football games and kickball. And I guess you come up with the drop kick for an onside kick that works.
You don't have any friends that are special teamers, I suppose.
Not many.
They're down. Arnold sacked again. TJ Sanders with the 5th sack of the game for South Carolina. And the Gamecocks take a timeout to stop the clock with a 4th down forthcoming.
Well, Tom, this is going to be a reoccurring theme. This is a 3-man twist, but once again,
timeout.
The penetrator is going to get home. You're trying to go here and then a big loop man there.
Did Sanders break out the boom bada on this move?
Let's see if he goes a little. That's just a boom. There's no bada on that.
When you're good enough to start naming your pass rush moves, as Sanders told us last year, that's my Boombada crossover. He didn't even need it that time.
But the problem is here, Troy Everett comes off of TJ Sanders to help with the loop man, but he didn't have anybody bump him off. You have to slam the other offensive lineman off of a twist, and then you come pick up the loop man. You handle the penetrator first, no matter what. If you don't handle the penetrator initially, the things that are happening to Oklahoma's offensive line today are what's going to continue to happen.
Luke Elzinga to punt it away. Short punt. It checks up just inside the 30. South Carolina's defensive coordinator Clayton White studied offenses and protections all season. He said, I changed it from just thinking about it as a defensive coach. I wanted to think about it from the offensive perspective. What's hard to block and it's turned into one of the best pressure performances we've seen for Carolina.
Call it his summer project. Summer studies is what they did. They went and looked at different twists, and I love how he told you that, Tom. I wanted to look at it from an offensive side of things. He coached running backs at UConn a long time ago and said that that was how they went and found things that they could get home with. They had a cut-up made of every NFL sack that was unblocked from last season.
Sellers delivers to Simon, and that's good for the first down.
And Tom, that's what I think a lot of coaches don't do is, let me put myself in the other side of this and look at it from their perspective. And you remember my first question was, when you look at it from the offensive point of view, how much did you hate slide protection? He said, yeah, a lot.
One timeout remaining for Carolina. Sellers leaves one man in the dust and lost his footing. They'll hold the timeout for a moment. Sellers incomplete into the first row with 44 seconds remaining in the half.
Those are the ones that he gets every now and then. I'm not sure if it's when he's trying to put a little extra velocity on the football, but that thing will sail on him. One out of everybody, 8-10 throws. He's got such a big, strong arm. He throws a beautiful deep ball. Just occasionally he'll get a little too much on it and it'll pop out high.
Played at South Florence High School in Florence, South Carolina. He may be the only Florence native who doesn't have a southern accent. Third and short. Under a minute to play. And out of bounds. Those Dre Jacobs, excuse me. 40 seconds remaining. Carolina still has that one timeout. Sellers 9 of 15 for 98 yards. Escapes again. Down the sideline. Caught for a South Carolina first down by Oscar Attaway.
What a job getting away from pressure. Now, he does have a little bit of a tendency to immediately climb or step up in the pocket, Tom. But this time, Sellers understands, don't want to get there, so he'll back out. The reason this is a super impressive throw to me is he had almost that exact throw against Alabama, and he sailed it about 10 yards past the receiver, makes that adjustment here a couple games later, a couple quarters later, and he's able to get a big completion.
Sellers trying to put an exclamation point on this first half for South Carolina. And against pressure, he's able to get it out again. This is Josh Simon. And Shane Beamer will use the timeout here. 32-3 lead for this South Carolina team. And it came thanks to Shane Beamer
South
building
Carolina,
a 21-0 lead
and
thanks to what they were able to do defensively. You know, Shane was an assistant under Lincoln Riley here for a handful of seasons, was the assistant head coach. That's his immediate previous job to taking the South Carolina job, and he said, yeah, there's some nostalgia here for me. This is where my kids grew up. I've been back to Tennessee. I've been back to Georgia. It just didn't hit me like it hit him coming back to Norman.
You could tell down on the field, too. There were multiple Oklahoma staffers came up, gave him a big hug. He saw athletic director Joe Castiglione. He said, oh, my favorite Norman native, and gave him a big hug. So this place obviously means a lot to him.
And if you're able to deliver in the first quarter, we sensed some of that anxiousness and nervousness with a 21-0 lead after the end of the first. But they've been able to keep doing what they're doing thanks in large part to their defense.
Well, Tom, I think he kept going back to that when we talked to him. We got to finish games. We have to understand how to close out games. Yes, we have veterans in some places, but we're young in some other spots. And great football teams learn how to finish games, go out, win games, take games from their opponent. And that's what we're going to find out about South Carolina for another half of football here in Norman today.
They lost fourth quarter leads to both LSU and Alabama. Pressure up the middle. Sellers has nowhere to go. He gets taken down with the clock winding down. 15 seconds and rolling. South Carolina rushes to the football. Now 9, 8, 7. And Sellers finally spikes it with 5. Had to wait an extra beat or two for Gage Larvidan, a wide receiver, to return to his spot.
He ran a corner route into the back of the end zone. Don't think he realized right away it was a sack. So, yeah, had a long way to go to get back to the line of scrimmage.
Alex Herrera has already made from 39. 6-year kicker. at a Spring Valley High School in Columbia. A big field goal to end the first half against Alabama. And try to close this half with another big one. Matching his season long of 46 yards, and they fake it. Kroger pressured and lobs it incomplete. Guy Kroger had pressure in his face immediately. Oklahoma failed on a fake punt.
End of the second quarter.
South Carolina fails in his fake field goal.
Edge defender who's going to try to come off, block off the edge, makes a great adjustment right there, seeing that the holder keeps the football. And that forces the errant pass. This is a nice job of understanding, having awareness right away that that's not going to be a kick attempt.
That was at the edge of Herrera's range. Let's get down the field. Alyssa Langs with Shane Beamer.
Coach, I heard you fired up in the headset. What's going to be the message to this team in the locker room?
Honestly, it's not 0-0. I feel like we're dominating this game in a lot of ways, but offensively we got to be a lot better. We had a great drive there to finish the half, which was good to see. We know this is a really good defense for playing, but we just too inefficient on offense early.
Does this change the offensive game plan with how fast of a start you got out to in the second half?
No, I mean, we obviously know we got a really good defense, and they're going to struggle to score against our defense. But at the same time, the scoreboard is irrelevant, Alyssa. It ain't 0-0. We're dominating this game, and I want to see us come out in the second half and dominate the second half.
Thanks, Coach.
It is the largest deficit at home for Oklahoma since the John Blake era, 1997, when they trailed A&M 34-0 in a bad loss, 51-7 that day here at Norman. South Carolina having its way with the Sooners, which gets you down to the stands. It's time for the halftime show with Peter Burns. Welcome back to SEC football, presented by Allstate. This is a big-time beatdown by South Carolina today. Shane Beamer's team jumped out to a 21-0 lead. It's a 32-3 score at the half. Tom Hart, Cole Cubelic, and Alyssa Lang. Both of these programs came in, and the feeling was similar. We're just so close to making things right and getting to where we need to be. It doesn't look like they're very close at all.
Well, no, when you're that type of a team, Tom, you can't get in a situation like this and be down multiple scores the first couple of minutes of the game. Oklahoma's offense, not one built to come from behind, play fast the entire game. South Carolina in a pretty good spot right now. They don't have to really lean on the offense and be high percentage with what they want Lenore Sellers and company to do. But I did see a possibility for a little rhythm with Jackson Arnold at quarterback. So maybe Seth Luttrell can find a way to build on some of that. Either way, you have to offset that front. Offensive line's not played well, along with the tight ends today for the Sooners.
Now, we knew South Carolina would try to cause some havoc as Oklahoma started its 6th different offensive line combination, and that havoc played a direct role in jumping out 21-0.
Absolutely, and whether it's slide protection, tight ends trying to help out in protection, it just hasn't been clean. I felt like maybe try to attack it a little bit more, do some things off the edge of that defense. We talked about it in the open. Utilize their aggressiveness against them. Haven't seen a ton of that in the Oklahoma offense today.
Big story for Oklahoma, despite the struggles, is the fact that they changed quarterbacks, going with Jackson Arnold. Alyssa Lang caught up with Brent Venables. What'd you learn about the second half plan?
Yeah, I asked him what his plan at quarterback would be. He said, we're going to stick with Jackson. He said, we have to take care of the football. When you hand another team 20-plus points and turnovers, it's simply not the formula for winning. Obviously, we've talked all day about how strong this Oklahoma defense is. It's what South Carolina offensive coaches were preparing for coming into this one. Can Oklahoma force some turnovers in this second half to try to get back into this one? Brent Venables certainly sent that message at half.
Tom, remember that pressure late for the Oklahoma defense. They had 6 on the line of scrimmage and brought a safety. Don't be surprised if Dow Loggins gets more of that here in the second half.
Conservative first half for Lenore Sellers, but he starts off throwing here, and a great leaping catch made by Nick Harbor, who had the fantastic finish to the Alabama game, the touchdown that kept him in the contest. It's the first time I believe Harbor's been targeted in this game. Angel Bennett in motion, orbits back to the near side, and they try to run it straight ahead, a yard for Rocket Sanders. Sanders was a first-team All-SEC running back in the 22 season, playing for Sam Pittman at Arkansas. He was, I mentioned this earlier, originally signed by the Razorbacks as a wide receiver, and it helped when he got a phone call from Darren McFadden to end up in Fayetteville playing for the Razorbacks. Second down 9. Sellers hit as he throws, caught for a South Carolina first down by Michael Smith. It's a 25-yard pickup as Sellers took a shot to the chin.
Boy, linebacker blitz off that side, and Sellers knew he had the route coming all the way across the field. Clean pocket at first, but as you mentioned, Grayson Halton comes off a little bit late. Nice job sticking in that pocket to complete the pass to your tight end on that long drag route.
See if they lean on the run game again out of the pistol. And they swing it out to the near side looking for a screen. Well defended by Oklahoma. Gray Jacobs had nowhere to go.
Really on the field was the runner was down before the ball came loose.
True freshman in on the stop. Led his season high 57 snaps last week against Texas in his first career start.
He was great last week. Great in coverage, great awareness.
Official timeout for an injury.
And he's matched up against a tight end, Michael Smith, another true freshman, by the way, at 6'6", 255, fights through that block. I love seeing a cornerback, the aggressiveness right there. Just attack that blocker initially. Even if you drive him off his spot, it's going to force the ball carrier to make a cut back inside. Your defenders can come help you out. Just a nice job by the freshman corner who has a little bit of a luxury, Tom, having his brother on the field with him.
Yeah, that makes things easier. Talking with Zach Alley about the brothers, and he said, you know, Eli's really nonchalant. He's hyper-focused, but just so easy going. Sellers eludes the rush again. Little dip, and he bends it to the outside. What a fantastic run by Lenora Sellers. He put Danny Stutzman in the whirlpool.
Yeah, you're not going to see Danny Stutzman get stunted on very often like Lenora Sellers did there. But great pocket, so pocket awareness also, understanding that thing's breaking down behind him a little bit. Gets outside, keeps those eyes downfield, but then turns it into a positive play.
Carolina 4 of 10 on third downs today. Sellers takes it back, keeps it. There's a flag down. That it might be coming back, but I want to go back to this play. It may seem like nothing and very simple, but twice this season, South Carolina has fumbled.
Holding. Offense number
on that
75.
very play where
10-yard
Rocket
penalty.
Sanders at the mesh
Replay third
had
down.
too firm a grip. And finally, Dow Loggins got both quarterbacks and Rocket Sanders together, and he said, listen, you guys have to figure this out. I'm not on the field with you. We can't afford turning the ball over on plays like this that are so basic.
Well, there is a give and a take with it. It's the running back's job, if that ball stays in the mesh, to take it from the quarterback. It's the quarterback's job to pull it from the running back. And you can imagine some of the confusion there. The running back sees an opening. He wants that football to be able to attack it. Vice versa with the quarterback. That end crashes. He's got green. He wants to pull that football out and go get yardage.
So after the holding penalty, South Carolina backed up, and a flag pre-snap and a whistle, and that'll back them up further.
False start. Offense number 8. 5-yard penalty. Still third down.
It's Nick Harbor. Contractually obligated to mention that Harbor is a track star anytime we say his name. And a 10-1 100 meter, a 22 200 meter. And he's 235 pounds.
That's the thing, Tom. When you get up next to him and you see him, the speed that you hear about doesn't seem real.
No, can't be, right?
Not with how he's put together.
All-American on the South Carolina track team. Three-man rush. Whoa! Sellers with the Houdini move. And a second effort gets to him. Grayson Halton cleaned up what David Stone started.
Well, it's a great push from David Stone initially. He's going to attack upfield and fight through the South Carolina offensive line. That gets Sellers off platform. And you almost see there's Kamar Bell just kind of tries to pass that off, Tom. He'd stay and help there a little bit. Doesn't, and that allows Stone to get Sellers outside of the pocket just a little bit more, and then Halton finishes it off.
Peyton Bowen back to receive this punt from Kai Kroger. So a couple of penalties and then the sack. Bowen takes a fair catch at the 10 for a 41-yard punt. Jackson Arnold back out with the Oklahoma offense when we return, and the Sooners searching for answers. Check out the good hands plays brought to you by Allstate. This South Carolina defensive front having its way today.
They have gotten their hands on the offensive linemen to get off of them onto the quarterbacks of Oklahoma. Plural. And it has been off the edge. It has been pressures. It has been interior defensive linemen wreaking havoc for the Oklahoma offensive line and Oklahoma offense in general. Have not been able to maintain that group today.
Sooners need to find something. They risk going with 3 points or fewer in back-to-back games for the first time since 1995. The gap for Javante Barnes. Second down for Jackson Arnold. There was so much excitement around Jackson when we had Oklahoma in the Alamo Bowl, finally getting an opportunity with Dillon Gabriel off to Oregon. And he was inconsistent but showed promise in that game. And he told us earlier this season, I just got to keep my feet underneath me, stay in the pocket, not turn the ball over. And when he's at his best, he can do that. But when he's faced pressure, he gets skitty in the pocket.
Well, Tom, he's got all the ability. Jeff Levy told me he's the most talented quarterback he's ever worked with, just from a tool standpoint. But you're right. Once it gets past the quick distribution, he tends to get a little erratic.
Levy now the head coach at Mississippi State. That one delivered on time. And J.J. Hester takes it out just shy of the 40-yard line. A rare chunk play for Oklahoma. It goes for 23 yards.
Oh, nice runoff route from the slot. You hit the crosser right over the middle of the field.
Arnold hands it off, and Javante Barnes with a physical run.
Tom, even on that crosser, though, you almost saw like the one extra pat from Jackson Arnold. Just go ahead and let that ball go.
And the stutter step. It reminds me of the conversation we had in Kalen DeBoer's office a couple weeks ago about Jalen Milroe. Arnold on time the perimeter. And he said what we really worked on with Jalen is that three-step drop, hitting that back foot and letting it fly, and the rhythm that a quarterback can get into. Now, to be fair, on the Oklahoma side, when we talked with Brent Venables yesterday, he said, listen, it's hard for your quarterback to get in rhythm, and they stress this to the wide receivers, if you're running a 16-yard curl and you run it at 18 yards of depth.
There's a lot more that goes into it than just the throw and the catch a lot of times.
They've been forced to play a lot of youngsters on the offensive side. Arnold cannot escape the Carolina pressure. It's another sack for South Carolina, 6th of the game. And Jatius Gear, it's another big tackle for the Cox.
Okay, so slide protection again all the way across, and you're going to have the back on a linebacker, and that's just not going to work out very often.
You talk about slide protection like dads who are basketball coaches talk about playing zone defense with your 13-year-olds.
Most dads probably shouldn't be trying to coach the team from the bench, but
Arnold on the run. Pressured again. But one of your criticisms of it is it simplifies it to a fault.
Too much. It gives you extra bodies. It gives you a quick wall of defense. It cannot be your go-to because coordinators like Clayton White, who told us, Tom, I spent the entire offseason learning how to attack things like slide protection. It's what these D coordinators are doing. You think they're behind the game? You don't think they're trying to get ahead of new age offenses? And it's going to put backs on linebackers, backs on defensive ends, tight ends on defensive ends. Those are not favorable matchups for your players.
OU 3 of 10 on third down today. Play clock at 1. They just get it off. They use the entire clock. Arnold going deep. Man has a step. It's caught. Brennan Thompson in the end zone. The first touchdown in 2 games for Oklahoma is a 54-yard strike to the speedy Brennan Thompson. Sooners will leave the offense on the field and go for 2. Second touchdown of the season for Thompson. Let's go for Dos, brought to you by Dos Equis. They're 1 of 3 on 2-point conversions this season. And they'll put the ball over the left hash. Barnes is the tailback. Make it a 3-touchdown deficit. Arnold shovel pass. Stop shy of the goal line. It's Bowers sharp. Taka Hemingway ended up with it. Shovel pass all the rage in college football. So is having a quarterback able to hit on deep passes. Arnold to Thompson.
Felt like cover 3, corner, got to run to that deep third, a little bit late on it. They busted with the hook defender staying home. And Jackson Arnold stealing for the first Oklahoma touchdown of the day.
Dory Noke in studio with your AT&T studio update. Missouri had a 78-yard pass. Brady Cook to Mookie Cooper set up a 2-yard touchdown run for Marcus Carroll. They are in business, down 3 at home early in the 4th. Right now, meanwhile, Jalen Milroe on the field at Neyland Stadium getting set for the first of 2 monster matchups in the SEC, Bama and Tennessee. Let's get you back to normal.
All right, Dari, thanks. Great to have the Tulsa native as an OU graduate on hand for this one. By the way, this is only the 2nd game in the state of Oklahoma that South Carolina has ever played. They had a win at Tulsa back in 1948.
You know who led them on that win, right?
For you to tell me.
Cadillac.
Got the last name?
Wodiak. Steve Wodiak, the Cadillac, drafted by the Steelers. Numbers retired there for Gamecock football, number 37. I hadn't seen the tape on him, but he sounded like a baller.
That sounds like a good field trip.
To OKC, where Norman's own Trae Young returned with the Hawks for a preseason game against the Thunder.
Well, that was about all we'd see of Trae. It was the second of back-to-backs for the Hawks in town. Then they'll be back in Oklahoma City next weekend to start this season. I had a great trip with my son Andrew. There's some Trae Young fans in the building. And Shane Beamer and I were talking about Oklahoma City and the Thunder being so close. He was sitting courtside when the Thunder took on the Lakers, and Russell Westbrook, this big tackle behind the line, and Sanders bounces away and had to work really hard to lose only a yard. Russell Westbrook had a game against the Lakers where he had 20 points, 21 assists, and 20 rebounds. Just the 2nd game in NBA history a player went 20-20-20. Wilt Chamberlain had done it before 1968. Shane said, I loved it. Wife Emily and I sitting right there on the court, feet on the wood for a historical night. 2nd and 12 for Lenore Sellers. Sellers has all day and finally scrambles out of bounds as Danny Stutzman escorts him to the sideline.
Thought he could have had that check down to the back a little bit earlier. Rocket Sanders almost throws him a block near the sideline, but did not get to it quickly enough. Now, this is where I would expect Oklahoma to begin to dial up more pressure. You saw, Tom, right before the half, Venable Zach Alley really came after this group, had 6 on the line of scrimmage, brought a safety blitz with that. South Carolina didn't do a good job managing that pressure. Do they overload again here?
Oklahoma had 12 men on the field.
Timeout. Oklahoma, they're first. It'll be 30 seconds.
So 6:14 to go in the 3rd quarter. Trae Young, of course, a Norman native, and had one of the best seasons in college basketball history playing for OU, and he and his family, along with the city of Norman, opened up Young Family Athletic Center on the north side of town. And a great contribution, not just from Trey and his foundation, but what a beautiful facility right here in town and available to the youth. Not just hoops, they got all sorts of activities available. When's the last time you went swimming?
This summer.
A lake, pool, or a pond?
Definitely not a pond.
Pond would be good for you.
Probably pool. Caught up with Trey at the Houston game. Talked some football with him. Really cool guy.
On 3rd and 8. Left open against the zone is Mazio Bennett. True freshman out of Greenville High School, the upstate.
Cole, I think this is your new favorite wide receiver. I talked with Mazio Bennett this week. He said at age 4, when he started playing football, his first position was O-line. Very passionate blocker.
Sanders, but O-line, he's 5'11", a $185.
No,
so he hasn't
how
grown
small
since
were the other kids?
He was 4 years old, to be fair, so I think it's a little more even then. He actually didn't play wide receiver until high school. His high school principal was also a wide receiver trainer, convinced him during 2020 to go out there and train with him. He fell in love with the position, and him and Lenoris go way back, training with the same organization for a couple years now, so the chemistry makes sense.
Former Red Raider from Greenville High School. Straight ahead, Sanders, and he is punishing. It's a first down run for Rocket Sanders.
He likes to get it going downhill. We know that. Dal Loggins told us that Rocket Sanders will come to him saying, I need to get my feet going, coach. Get me going downhill just a little bit. And South Carolina offensive line, I know there have been a few pressures here and there today, but all in all, against a very talented front, had a strong showing here in Norman.
Sanders again gets stood up at the line of scrimmage. It's a half yard. Jaden Jackson, very promising player for this Sooners program. It's the first true freshman to start on the defensive line for Oklahoma in the opener since Tommy Harris in 2001. And only the 4th in school history to do so.
He's been fantastic. Like I said earlier in the game, just athleticism, quickness, hands, very advanced for an interior SEC defensive lineman.
2nd and 9. Pressured. And Sellers gets tripped up past midfield. Set up 3rd and medium.
So if you're Dal Loggins, where do you go here? You know, you saw some heavy pressure last couple of series on 3rd and medium, 3rd and longs. It's one thing when I passed Dal in the hallway, he said earlier, I'd like to get some more 3rd and manageables. But not afraid to let Lenore Sellers just drop back today. I would say maybe slot was big against this defense a year ago when they were at Jacksonville State.
Kobe Johnson coming on a corner blitz. Sellers lobs it that way and incomplete from Michael Smith.
That's similar to that one last week against Alabama where Sellers kind of rolling, floats it. That one's not really overthrown, in position for Smith to be able to make a play on it. These are tough throws. There you see the pressure coming right up the gut from Grayson Halton again. And oh man, a little more air under that one. You got a big game.
Carolina to go for it on 4th down. Remember, Oklahoma jumped on a 4th down earlier. That was in the 2nd quarter. This is 4th and 5. Shane Beamer wants him to wait. Did they get it off? Whistles came before. And South Carolina will likely punt it away.
Delay of game, offense, 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
I'm wondering if Shane thought that they should have snapped that football a little bit earlier when Oklahoma almost jumped a little bit, because yeah, he was upset that maybe they had the freeze play on, drew a defender over and did not snap the ball. And you've got a veteran center in Vershawn Lee that understands how to take advantage of that, and Shane maybe thinks they missed one there.
So here's Kai Kroger to punt it away. The top 5 punters in the country in yards per punt, movement on the right side. That's South Carolina line.
Ball start. Kicking team, number 33. 5-yard penalty. Still 4th down.
Kroger is 3rd in the nation, averaging 48 yards per punt. He's had a couple go farther than that already today. He's also a great passer. He's got a passer rating of 426.5. He's 7 of 8 in his career. And usually those are numbers that are lost the minutia. When Brent Venables sat down with us, it's the first thing he mentioned about their special teams. Bowen taken down after no return. 41-yard punt for Kroger. 32-9. South Carolina in firm control of this one. Well, the challenge for Brent Venables continues after this one, and he said every time we have our staff meetings on Sunday and meet with the team later, it's all about moving forward. Well, this is a tough track going forward. In Oxford against a top 20 Ole Miss team, they have to go to Missouri on November 19th. Renewal of that old Big 12, Big 8, Big 7, Big 6 Missouri Valley rivalry. Alabama here, and then on the road to Baton Rouge. That is not a reassuring schedule going forward for a team that's likely to start the year 4-3 with a loss today.
There are a couple of just nasty finishes in this league this year. We all see what Florida has. You look at Georgia's last month of their season. We just saw what Oklahoma has left.
Do you think that would preclude this league from getting to 9 conference games? Just the severity of some of these schedules?
I don't think so. I think it's going to happen at some point in time, but I don't think that the difficulty of the schedules is going to be what prevents it.
Arnold. Too much juice on that one, right through the hands of his intended receiver.
And one thing that may help that, Tom, we get to the playoff this year, none of us really know exactly how this is going to go. We're going to have to retrain our brains on 2-loss teams, maybe even 3-loss teams, and how they're viewed, and how we look at those teams where they used to just be out of contention, now may squarely be in it, even with a couple weeks left in the season.
More of an NFL mentality. The Chiefs lost 4 regular season games last year. No one questioned that they were one of the best at the professional level. Arnold sandwiched again. There's a flag down in the direction of holding. Arnold may have gotten back to the line of scrimmage before Bam Martin-Scott got to him. Bam Martin-Scott came up on his nickname, honestly, of Bam. It's because he was born on the 4th of July. So those fireworks going bam every birthday, and it stuck with him. That's a great nickname for a defensive
Personal
player.
foul, hands to the face, offense number 58. That penalty is declined, 4th down.
Spencer Brown.
I guess we've moved past the Flintstones era where that's going to affect it.
It might still be a Pebbles out there somewhere.
Do you have to have the bone hair tie for that?
Yes. You also have to have eyes with no pupils. Low snap, handled well. And a knuckleball caught at the 32-yard line. Well, we showed you some of the key opponents on that forthcoming schedule for Oklahoma. Got a 99% chance to knock off the Black Bears of Maine. And otherwise, Missouri on the road, your best chance to win, according to ESPN's FPI.
I would say matchup perspective, good news is the Ole Miss offensive line's not playing great. Missouri's offensive line hasn't looked great for a 2nd consecutive week. Your front may be able to have some success there. Alabama, LSU, I can't help you a lot with those. Don't feel like those are great matchups for you. LSU's defense, with Weeks coming on the way that he is, Blake Baker's got them playing in a different tempo. I think a lot of people thought going in, if you can manage the passing game, you can put up a pretty good fight, but that defense coming on quickly.
Lenore Sellers, 15 of 22 for $176, and he goes down. And Oklahoma picks up a sack thanks to Grayson Hall. Fourth of the day for the Sooners.
Just a four-man rush, and we're going to get another twist on the inside, kind of a stutter rush, and then down in and loop around. That's what you're going to get, and it's an excellent job from Grayson Halton. See him, that penetration, initial just stick on Vershawn Lee, the center.
Tenth sack of the day combined. Alyssa, it's a bad day to be a quarterback.
It certainly is, and you just saw Lenora Sellers hit the turf that play before. It's what the South Carolina coaches are down here on the sidelines emphasizing, guys. Despite the scoreboard being 32-9, Coach Beamer visibly frustrated with both his offense and his defense at this point. More so the offense, certainly, but the offensive coaches telling skill position players down here, guys, be on your details. Now is the time as we enter that fourth quarter that hasn't fared well for South Carolina.
Two blown leads against top-notch opponents, including last week against Alabama. It was a fumble that keyed the Alabama comeback. Across the middle to Harbor. Stopped by Stutzman.
That's the play earlier, Tom, when the screen was blown up and they had Harbor going the opposite direction. So Dow Loggins comes back to it here, except he doesn't throw the screen to the top. He gets a little drag route from Harbor, but the screen took the attention last time of the Oklahoma defense. It did not take it on this particular play.
Now Loggins, second year as the OC for Carolina, 16 years in the NFL, including 7 as a coordinator. Kroger drives into this one. Bowen back to the 20. Bowen looking for the sideline. Can't quite get a step. Lost a shoe, but held onto the football. 54-yard punt. 5 yards and 1 shoe on the return. Did you hear Mark Stoops post-game last week? He was talking about attention to detail with one of his freshman running backs. He was asked, why isn't he playing more? You see the shoe just get stripped off. And he said, you know, it's really simple. He had a run in the game where his shoe came off. And it came off because it wasn't tied. If you can't tie your shoes, I can't depend on you to be in the game.
Denard Robinson still played.
Yeah, he did. That was a different era.
There's always those guys that have their chin strap unbuckled, or now you see guys with 2 mouthpieces hanging from their face mask. I don't know what that is for.
Arnold spikes it. By the way, saw Mark's brother Bob. Probably the first time in Norman he's been referred to as Mark's brother.
Second down. Number 2 was in the area.
We would have guys that didn't have their ankles taped or no ankle braces. And you always wonder, how is he not just injured all the time? There's always a little equipment snafus. Certain guys just do things a certain way. Did it prevent him from scoring or picking up first down yardage? If that was the case, then I get it. But if it's
prevented him from being on the field because he lost his shoe.
Guys get their helmets ripped off all the time.
To the slant. It's still just a hair behind J.J. Hester, but good enough for a big gain and just short of the first down.
You see how smooth he is when that timing and that rhythm is there. Jackson Arnold can just make it look really easy.
And they're able to pick it up on the ground with Javante Barnes. By the way, big one for Kentucky tonight. They're at Florida on an SEC Saturday night matchup.
This is the end of the
third quarter comes to an end here in Norman. First ever meeting between the Gamecocks and Sooners, and that South Carolina defense waving goodbye early. Here's a game summary. It summarizes the game, and with Oklahoma turning it over on each of its first 3 possessions and a change at quarterback didn't change much. South Carolina led 21-0. It'll be interesting going forward for Oklahoma. They went to Michael Hawkins Jr. to try and get a spark to this offense. And he provided that at times. Starting Auburn was the first road start for an Oklahoma freshman quarterback since Troy Aikman got the start at Kansas his opening year. And then the offense grinded to a halt in a game against #1 Texas last week with only 3 points. So back to Jackson Arnold. The pass is complete on a bobbling catch by Javante Barnes. And with the schedule going forward, Barnes is shaken up on the sideline. Where does Oklahoma go from here?
I think what you've seen from Jackson Arnold, Tom, specifically in the intermediate throws, if he can get into a rhythm, he can give you a few things. We saw the one pass for touchdown down the sideline. Either way, you got to find a way to short things up front and offset some of the pressure, but they're moving the pocket a little bit. Keep in mind, too, whichever quarterback in the game, your top 5 receivers coming into the season are out. So playmakers, erasers, guys that can help make a quarterback look right a lot of the times. The individuals Oklahoma was going to be relying upon this year have not been in the lineup very often.
Well, that includes Deion Burks, a Purdue transfer. Brent Venables said he's trying really hard, attempting to defy all odds to see time in this game today, but was not a full participant in pregame warmups despite being dressed out in pads. Hawkins a spectator the rest of the way, and a nice run off tackle. Khalid Hicks, a sophomore out of Denton.
Excellent job by Bauer Sharp, tight end, pulling around, getting a little extra block there in between the left guard and left tackle.
Arnold flush from the pocket, dials deep, got a shot to the end zone. This will draw a flag on a change of direction from J.J. Hester. David Spalding got turned around.
Pass interference, defense number 29, 15-yard penalty, and an automatic first down.
That's a big win by Kyle Kennard on the right side of the offensive line, but right out of the gate, J.J. Hester, a win. And he makes adjustments to the football. You get a flag. A lot of things can go your way when you get one-on-ones and you can push the ball down the field. Specifically, like we talked about with Hester, the size. Tom's got great speed, almost 6'6". Caught that deep ball against Auburn earlier this year.
Was banged up all last season. Transferred in from Missouri. Sooners go back to the ground game, and Barnes, who had left to play before. Email Worry with the stop.
Good to see Barnes back in the game. He's the best overall running back this team has, but also on Hester, Tom, he is the only Oklahoma player that has an offensive play over 60 yards this year.
Arnold pulled it back and flicks it incomplete as he got pressured from Demetrius Knight. And they're going to discuss whether or not this was grounding.
There is no foul for intentional grounding. The passer was outside the tackle box. Third down.
Looked like he was in the tackle box to me, but regardless, by the way, in Columbia, Missouri, Auburn with a 3-point lead, under 2 minutes to go with Missouri driving.
I think that just Jackson Arnold getting hit kind of forced an errant pass there, but it was designed to go to J.J. Hester, but Nick Imawari made an adjustment late, did not bite on the RPO, so he stuck back. And
did you think he was out of the tackle box?
No.
Okay. Oh, Javante Barnes is taking some licks here in the fourth quarter. That time he got sandwiched by Debo Williams and David Spalding.
That's one of the things you notice first when you put the film on of this South Carolina defense. They can run. It's not one guy, it's not two guys. As a unit, they fly to the football.
Is run exponentially faster than just running?
It's being able to run on top of being able to run.
They got layers of running, and they got 10 tackles behind the Oklahoma line of scrimmage today. Four-man rush. Arnold taken down. Another sack for Carolina. Georgia Tech transfer Kyle Kennard. 7th sack for South Carolina.
So difficult because Kennard's removed so far from the offensive tackle. Got to run him by the pocket there.
That's the most sacks in 7 years.
Welcome back to Norman. We've talked throughout the course of the day about how it's a homecoming of sorts for the Beamer family. Spent a couple of years here. Their kids made a ton of friends here, so it was an exciting comeback for them to get to visit all of them. And they also gained another family member while they were here in Norman. It's Boomer Beamer.
Hi, Olivia.
Hello.
Hi, Shane.
I'm
How are
Shane.
you? Hi, nice to meet you.
Well, my favorite part about them getting their dog while here in Norman is that that's the Shane cam. Shane Beamer was filming that whole thing. So children Sutton, Olivia, and Hunter have certainly grown since then. Alyssa, I thought the coolest part of your story, not just the dog, right, but the fact that those kids came back and they had a chance with Emily yesterday to go visit the friends that they made years ago when he was an Oklahoma assistant.
Yeah, a lot of love here. Coach Beamer told me before the game, he's emotional, you know, coming back to a ton of places that he's worked at before. This one definitely hits different for this family.
Well, you have a Beamer connection. You're a South Carolina grad. There's a big-time sack for Oklahoma. Ethan Downs taking down Sellers. What was your first dog's name?
So I was raised by two Virginia Tech alum. So my dog's name growing up was Beamer after Frank. So there's a Boomer, Beamer, Beamer connection here on the field today.
Cole, what was your first dog's name?
Sophie.
Okay. Got that taken care of. Shout out Winston back home, the Hart family household. 3rd down 17 after the sack. Both of these defensive lines have been disruptive. Multiple sacks on both sides, and that time Juju McDowell gets the carry for South Carolina.
Dowell power play almost went ahead for first down yardage there.
Cole, you're an old offensive lineman. I mean, you are old, and you're a former offensive lineman. 12 sacks today combined between both sides. What would the film room look like on Sunday afternoon or Monday morning in your day?
Yeah, not pretty. One that you probably wouldn't want to go visit. I think from the South Carolina side of things, it's a little more acceptable because the game plan been a little bit more conservative, and you can avoid some of these moving forward. But from an Oklahoma perspective, it's going to be a lot of frustration.
Kroger sends this one inside the 5. Catch taken there, and Oklahoma trying to make something happen.
Not supposed to catch it there.
Von Jordan taking a chance. They take it back out to the 10-yard line. Shane Beamer and his dog Boomer. That's a good dog, Boomer. And that's a good game, South Carolina. Big lead in the 4th.
SEC Network Football is presented by Allstate. You're in good hands. And in part by T-Mobile 5G Home Internet. Get internet how you want it.
A huge double dip in the SEC on ABC as soon as Miami and Louisville get out of the way. Game day was in Austin this morning for the huge matchup between Georgia and Texas. And your All-State playoff predictor, win or lose, Texas is in a good spot, but should they win, a 98% chance to reach the 12-team college football playoff. How do you see that game going?
I think Texas will win the game. I think the options that they have offensively can take advantage of a few holes in the Georgia defense, but specifically the edge presence that Texas has got defensively against the Georgia tackles, I believe will be a problem.
Jackson Arnold dumps it out of a collapsing pocket, and that's a 3-yard gain. 13 completions and 24 attempts for Arnold for 160 yards. Michael Hawkins Jr. threw 2 picks in 5 attempts today. His first 2 interceptions of the year. Short drop, and Arnold gets swallowed up again. This time it's Gilbert Edmond. That is 8 sacks by 8 different Gamecocks today.
Well, Gilbert Edmond, who left South Carolina to Florida State, then came back to South Carolina, is going to be working on the right tackle. Help comes a little bit too late. That's just a bull rush and physically overpowering an offensive tackle. Got his hands inside, sticks with it, good push. Like I said, the help from the right guard just a little bit too late there.
The old boomerang portal, huh? You leave and you come back. Prodigal son. Gilbert Edmond, and 8 sacks for South Carolina. Arnold rolls out and finds Barnes, who makes a man miss, and lots of football. South Carolina pounces on it at the 21-yard line. It's another giveaway. Bam Martin-Scott with the recovery.
When Barnes goes up over Jalen Kilgore. And there you see the ball. I couldn't really tell where the knees were at the moment it gets dislodged. Just trying to make a play, trying to get a couple extra yards.
4th takeaway for the South Carolina defense, and the 6th-year player out of Fort Wayne, Indiana, Bam Martin-Scott, ends up finding it. And Javante Barnes has been taking some shots all day today.
A lot of times when you get those check downs and the little outlet throws, defenders have a clean run at you.
Sellers slow plays a handoff to Rocket Sanders. Carolina will be in no rush. Final 9 minutes.
Just kind of continues to be that 1 step forward, 2 steps back for Oklahoma, Tom. The mistakes are just, you're not a good enough football team to overcome those. And Brent Venables told us that yesterday. He said, we're not talented enough at a lot of different places. Don't play clean enough football to overcome some of the massive mistakes that we've consistently made.
Those mistakes have seemed to snowball on Oklahoma. It's not just one followed by another in a chain reaction. Sellers almost put the ball on the ground and flicks it to the cheerleaders. Third down coming up. Play fantasy football, Cole?
Terrible at it.
If you had South Carolina in your fantasy team, their defense would have gotten you 4 turnovers, 8 sacks, and 2 touchdowns. That's a 28-point fantasy afternoon for South Carolina's D.
It's more than Jaden Daniels got me last week.
I bet. Well, it's the dream of an outing for the South Carolina staff. Rocket Sanders. What a job by Clayton White, by the way, in his 4th year as a DC here. Played at NC State before 3 years in the NFL. And what a wonderful visit with him and the excitement that he draws in getting this team ready. It's been a sensational season for the defensive unit for South Carolina.
When he said a GA, his senior year at NC State was Manny Diaz. And that's who he actually went and did some of that summer study with. And what a win for Diaz and his team last night. But always self-scouting, always looking for ways to improve. Didn't just rest on the fact that they had some talented defensive linemen.
Oklahoma drops off thinking maybe a fake. The 32-yard field goal from Herrera is good. 35-9. We approach the midway point in the 4th quarter. Shane Bierman is homecoming to Norman, has brought havoc with him. 4 turnovers, 8 sacks, and a historic day for the Gamecocks.
Gary Noka in studio. Time for a studio update made from scratch through our friends at Hardee's, and it is over in Columbia. Tigers score the game's final 18 points. Mizzou's Tigers, that is, to get to 6-1. Jamal Roberts, the go-ahead touchdown in the final minute. Auburn has lost 4 in a row, guys.
Well, Missouri living on the edge, but pulling it off. Dari, I need an answer. I just texted you a spot for us to walk to post-game to grab a bite, maybe a pop, headed towards Campus Corner or something. And Oklahoma backed into a corner. In the first quarter of this game, trailed 21-0. There's some crazy mad chickens on the defensive side.
This has been the story of the game, just wreaking havoc up front with South Carolina defensive line and linebackers. Debo Williams, a little bit of pressure there. Kyle Kennard off the edge. The interior of that defensive line's gotten a nice push as well. We've seen multiple edge rushers, not just the top 2, make plays, finding a way to get the football on the ground. There has been no consistency, no rhythm, no feel on offense for Oklahoma today, and Clayton White's front seven has been a massive reason why.
And if you're South Carolina, with the numbers that they've put up today and the offense continuing to refine, that one delivered, threading a needle for the completion to the freshman wide receiver, Jacob Jordan. This thing going forward for South Carolina, it is certainly not an easy schedule, but this gives you great belief, especially with its performances against both Alabama and LSU. They get A&M at home. They go to resurgent Vanderbilt. Missouri at home. And after a walk over Wofford, they'll get Clemson once again in the rivalry game to close the regular season. Second down 2. On time and on a dime, J.J. Hester, ball out again, and Hester is able to crawl back for it.
The ruling on the field is a catch and a fumble recovered by the offense. Second down.
See if his knee was down before that ball came out.
Correction, third down.
Oklahoma going to run to the ball, looking at a 3rd and short. Nope.
No. Kind of got high-load a little bit there.
The officials were in substitution mechanics when the ball was snapped. The ball will be reset. Third down.
So even though they recovered the fumble, it cost them what would have been a first down for Hester with the yardage. This is a major fall off in offensive production from year to year for Oklahoma in many different ways. And that includes 17 points per game less than Oklahoma scored last year under the direction of Jeff Levy, who left for Mississippi State. Seth Luttrell was here as an analyst. Former North Texas head coach and OU fullback takes over the offensive play calling. Dylan Stewart with another sack. Number 9 on the day for South Carolina.
Again, that flexibility that I've talked about, Tom, with Stewart being able to dip and rip up underneath, and there's those numbers you're referencing. Oh.
9 sacks, 9 different South Carolina defenders. That is unbelievable. Nothing doing here. That will leave 3rd and long. So what's the answer for Oklahoma offensively? Obviously, you can't just snap your fingers and recreate what you were with Dylan Gabriel and Jeff Levy last year. So what can be done?
I think you got to find some consistency first with the offensive line. We've seen a lot of guys rotating in. Find 5, go with it if you can. Now, they're not all 100%, so that's a big reason why. Stick with the quarterback moving forward. Not that they've rotated, but I think if it's going to be Jackson Arnold, stay with him. Go ahead and let him try to get comfortable with some of his targets, some of the plays.
The ruling on the field is an incomplete pass.
They've gone from 42 points a game to, after today, fewer than 24 points a game. And they're on pace for the fewest points per game since 1998, when John Blake was the head coach. Rex Ryan was the defensive coordinator. Sam Pittman was coaching the O-line. They finished 5th in the Big 12 South. They only had 2 offensive players drafted off that team.
Wait a second. You had a staff with Sam Pittman and Rex Ryan on it?
Yeah. That might have been a lively building back then, huh?
Pass. The previous players under video review. Replay booth initiated the review before Oklahoma called a timeout. Therefore, they will not be charged with a timeout.
That 98 season, by the way, was also the last time Oklahoma was held under 10 points in back-to-back games. It happened in a 34-3 loss to Texas and a 20-6 loss at Missouri. Catch or no catch?
That toe comes up right as it looks like he gets the ball in his hands.
Right foot is still up.
Tough to tell from that angle. You can make an argument that it was down when the ball hit his hands. Usually you'll get the black pellets kind of flying up from a toe drag.
That was if you were playing on artificial turf, but this is a grass field here.
So you wouldn't get them there. You might get a blade of grass or some sand then.
Yep. You're down on the field pregame. You realize it's grass, right?
Yeah, I just didn't pay attention to that today.
Did you notice that the end zones are painted a different color than the last time we were here?
And faded a little bit too, which would also dictate that it's our real grass field.
It is a cool tradition here that for conference games they go with the crimson background and the white lettering in the end zones versus leaving it green in non-conference games. This feels like rearranging deck chairs in the Titanic. But we'll spend our time to make sure it's correct. Otherwise, Oklahoma's looking at a 4th and 16.
I feel like that look right there gives you a reception.
I was thinking back to Jackson Arnold's year last year where he saw enough time to not qualify for a red shirt. He had a game against BYU where he was fantastic late.
After video review, the ruling on the field stands. Incomplete pass. 4th down.
Not confirmed, just stands. And this coaching staff really bragged on him in that BYU game where he checked at the line of scrimmage on a 3rd and 7 play to a slant that ended up being the game clinching 1st down with about 2 minutes to play in the game. I don't see that same sort of confidence from him this season.
Well, the longer you play, the more things extend and the more difficult things get, because we talked about Michael Hawkins Jr. in his time in spring and fall camp, and Brent Venables said we had so many guys out and didn't play so many guys. We wonder if he got a little bit of false sense of confidence because of who he was competing against on a regular basis.
4th and 16. A perfect fit down the sideline, and that's good for an Oklahoma 1st down to Jacob Jordan, who's having a breakout game of his career. 0 catches coming in for the freshman, and 6 today.
Maybe a reliable target down the road, but tiptoeing the sideline there. Nice work.
Arnold pressured again and floats it incomplete. Jordan out of South Lake Carroll. That's produced a couple of pretty good quarterbacks. Chase Daniel and Greg McElroy among others. And now pretty good wide receiver in Jordan's breakout game.
Pretty good quarterback playing tonight, also from South Lake Carroll.
Yeah, it's true.
McElroy in their Hall of Fame, by the way.
Oh, good for him. That and $8 get you a latte?
And has a key to the city.
Lord knows what he would use that key for. Incomplete.
McElroy also has a key to the city in Gadsden, Alabama. He's the only person who has 2 keys to 2 cities.
Might be why the Gadsden pub went out of business.
The Yellow Wolf probably disagrees.
4:46 to go in the 4th quarter. Oklahoma in danger of losing back-to-back games and falling to 4-3 on the season thanks to South Carolina's penetrating defense. Most sacks for South Carolina since 1996. Up in the air and nearly picked. David Spalding was that close.
And Tom, that might be the craziest part about all the sack numbers you've thrown out today. As we saw Kyle Kennard about a step away from another sack on that drop, how close South Carolina has been to, I don't know, 4 or 5 more sacks on the days. You see the tip pass just through the hands of David Spalding.
Converted to 4th down already this drive. Arnold hit as he throws. It is tipped and all's incomplete again. Spalding that close.
Desmond Umazulu colliding with Kyle Kennard as the 2 edge defenders in the pocket again with more pressure. Clayton White's going to meet them out at midfield. Excited about what he saw from the pass rush there.
4:36 to play in this one. South Carolina accomplishing big things today despite losing to LSU. Ole Miss was a beatdown, and Alabama in the last moment. Fourth quarter leads against Tigers and the Tide. And here's what's remaining for the South Carolina team. You could say that is a tough schedule, or you could say it is an opportunity. A&M, Missouri, Clemson, all top 20 teams. Nothing doing on that run. Alyssa.
Tommy, just ripped through the schedule, and the sentiment from every assistant coach I talked to today, the players included, look back on those 2 losses. LSU a couple weeks ago, which was a heartbreaker. Even Brent Venables said to us yesterday it was an act of God that they lost that game. And then Alabama last week. This team truly believes that they are a top 15 team in the country, and you just ripped off their upcoming opponents. They very well could be if they keep playing like this.
They have a chance to make some big noise. There's no doubt about it. Second carry for Howell. Cole, how do you view what happened in South Carolina in both the LSU and Alabama games? Fourth quarter
LSU
leads
game,
gone.
I've never seen anything like it. 2 defensive touchdowns taken off the board due to penalties. I've never seen anything like it.
Timeout. Oklahoma, they're second. It'll be 30 seconds. Please reset the game clock to 3 minutes, 58 seconds. 3:58 on the game clock, please.
I thought Clayton White, South Carolina defensive coordinator, had a great plan against LSU. I thought LSU made great adjustments, and we've mentioned it throughout the course of the season, Tom. The iPads are bringing that to life so much faster now than they have in the past. Teams know immediately what you're doing. There are no questions. There's no wondering. So you have to have a backup plan, and then a backup plan to that, and then maybe another plan, multiple alternative plans throughout the course of games. But to be able to bounce back the way they did, a lot of times that will buckle you, a loss like that. That's one that will cost you another game or 2 down the road. And I didn't think the Ole Miss game was necessarily a beatdown. You had a cornerback that fell down in coverage, a jump ball down the field, and you couldn't get it done in the red zone offensively. And then the Alabama game, that was just mistakes down the stretch. But to have opportunities in those games, ones that most people probably said they wouldn't even be in those football games, and then to come back and continue to play with the intensity and the fortitude that they have, that tells me that what Alyssa says might be able to come to fruition, that they could get some big wins here still down the stretch.
Robbie Ashford finds Devon Campbell. It is a rarity to come into this building and find a win against Oklahoma. And throughout their time in the Big 12, they had more Big 12 championships than home losses. Now, first year in the SEC, it is certainly shifting. Conference title would take a miracle run for this Oklahoma team. 14 Big 12 titles since '99, and 14 home losses, and that will get inverted today. Only 14 home losses since Bob Stoops took over as the head coach. It feels like it's in Oklahoma's DNA to play well at home. It also feels like, well, since Mike Leach was the offensive coordinator, it's in their DNA to have a dangerous and borderline record-setting quarterback. You can go back to '99. You can talk about Josh Heupel and what they did through the air raid, or you can just go back to when Baker Mayfield showed up and started slinging the ball all over the field. They have had elite signal callers. That is not the case today or this year, even though they thought they had it in 5-star Jackson Arnold.
Thought you were going to, and I'll go back to some of the injuries. As Seth Luttrell told us that Mike Leach taught him early in his coaching career, the more freshmen you play, the more growing pains you're going to have. And due to injury, they've had to play a lot of youngsters on this squad.
South Carolina goes to its third quarterback of the day. And Oklahoma able to blow it up. Take down Davis Bevel, and a timeout taken.
This is the 2-minute timeout.
Timeout on the floor as Davis Bevel's first snap ends up in an Oklahoma sack. South Carolina 2 minutes away from going to 4-3 on the year. Well, South Carolina started the party early, and they started it dropping a hammer on Oklahoma with a scoop and a score, a pick six, and 9 sacks by 9 different players. Most in a game since at least 1996. Davis Bevel, the Oklahoma transfer, in for a snap at quarterback. Didn't go anywhere, so they punted away. And nothing doing for Evan Jordan on the return. .148 remaining, 35-9 is the lead. Jackson Arnold still out there with the offensive unit. Troy Everett, the transfer from Appalachian State, had a knee injury in the spring, made his season debut against Texas, and the center they thought would bring some juice and energy to this offensive line. Cole, you've talked about it a lot. The offensive line kind of moved as a dance together, and if the guy next to you is new every other game or in the practice, ball came out again. Caleb Hicks coughed it up.
Oh, I think part of that, Tom, is if you have
to feel as a fumble by the offense, recovered by the offense, second down.
You have individuals that are beat up. Branson Hickman's had an ankle. Garen Hatchett had the torn bicep earlier, and they're not able to practice a lot. You don't get the reps together. Then, as you said, you bring in new guys that you do practice with, and you split some reps with them, but you don't play in the game with them necessarily. Or if you're all beat up, you're not practicing necessarily the way that you need to, with that physical intent to go out and know what it's going to be like in game situations. So it's discombobulated a little bit with how you have to manage it, and that group does have to be in sync. You do need reps together to be able to act as a good or great offensive line.
3rd and 7. Arnold 18 of 35. Off balance throw.
But a lot of that you're referencing, Tom, I mean, there's the guy getting beaten one-on-one. I mean, that last play, Jacob Sexton gets beat inside. We've seen tackles outside, inside, bull rush. You got to find a way to win some one-on-ones at the end of the day. Center, guard, tackle. You have to find a way not to allow your opponent to be able to get past you and get to your quarterback.
Arnold steps away. Well, it'd be really interesting to hear what Jackson Arnold has to say after this game. We know what his prep was like from this coaching staff, that he stayed on top of it despite being demoted to second string. They're trying to make something happen with this patchwork offensive line and this very young wide receiver core.
Go back to what we said earlier, Tom, that the coaching staff told us. He has put in all the work. He hasn't checked out mentally, emotionally. He's been in the facility going through his process on a daily basis.
Meanwhile, South Carolina comes to Norman for the first time. They're moved to 2-0 in the state of Oklahoma. Oklahoma had 15 possessions. The Oklahoma offense on those possessions scored 9 points. The South Carolina defense scored 14 points. And the Gamecocks heartbroken in fourth quarter giveaway losses to both LSU and Alabama. Come on the road and get a massive program-defining win for a team that was living on the edge under Shane Beamer, especially when it comes to post-game hopes. This will go a long way, moving South Carolina back to a bowl and giving them much-needed momentum. Well, Shane Beamer brought his entire family, Sutton, Olivia, and Honor, the children, his wife Emily, and the return to Norman. And they get a monster win to finish it off down on the field. Alyssa Langs with the head Gamecock.
Coach, your team had so much anger all week, and they started this one with a bang. How did you see them translate that anger into this performance today?
Just so happy for them. You know, I think coming off the heartbreaking loss that we had last week, I think so much of our players, their mentality this week was enough's enough. And they played like it. We said one of the keys for us every single week, I think I may have told you, is to win the turnover battle. And this week it was to dominate the turnover battle. And Nikki and those guys, they took that personal on defense. So what a start. So much respect for Coach Venables and their program. We knew points were going to be really hard today, but just so proud of our guys to come off the heartbreak of last week, to come into another road environment in the SEC. People ask me, like, what's the morale of your team and how are you going to get them back? That was never in question. The only question was, how well we were going to play today.
You mentioned the turnovers, 4, but 9 sacks. What is it about this South Carolina defensive line that seems to get home every single week?
Yeah, that's unbelievable. Against a heck of a football program as well. They're just relentless. They love to compete. That's the thing I love about this group. They love to compete. They love to practice. They love to work. I mean, they're so much fun to be around. And I'm so blessed to be their coach, to be able to be around these guys each and every day. Even after the heartbreak of last week, coming back in the facility on Sunday and getting to be around these guys. They hurt, but they went right back to work, and they showed it today.
Finally, Coach, I know you wanted this win, but coming back here, you said to me before the game was emotional. How much did getting this win for the first time for this program on this field mean?
Yeah, it meant a lot. I told our team on Thursday that South Carolina and Oklahoma had never played, and we had the chance to be the only team ever in Gamecock history to beat Oklahoma. But no, there's a lot of memories here, personally, professionally, and it's because of the great people here at OU. I'm so blessed to have had 3 awesome years here. It's pretty cool coming back. I didn't really talk about it. In fact, TJ Sanders told me all game, like, we got to get you a win against your alma mater. I'm like, well, this ain't my alma mater, but I worked here for 3 years, so we didn't make a big deal about it. But some guys made some comments, and just at the end of the day, just really happy for them.
Congratulations on the win, Coach.
Yep, thank you.
It's the 6th largest road win in SEC history for South Carolina. And Shane Beamer talked about that opportunity. Tom Cole with Alyssa down on the field. And, man, to take the season and pivot where they were with those heartbreaking losses of both LSU and just last week against Alabama shows a great maturity for this team.
I don't think there's any doubt. To continue to grind, I mentioned the intensity during the game, to continue to play hard and not make some of the same mistakes later in a game that you had earlier in the season. And like Coach Beamer said, you're the only South Carolina team that's ever defeated Oklahoma. You come on the road and get a dominant win the way that is. That shows to me down the stretch, South Carolina's going to be a handful for a lot of teams on their schedule.
He said they stressed takeaways, and boy, did that pay off. 4 takeaways for the South Carolina defense, 2 interceptions by Nick Emmanwori, including one of those returned for a score. Ataki Hemingway scoop and score. It was 21-0 in the blink of an eye. Nick Emmanwori was the emotional leader of that South Carolina defense. He's with Alyssa right now.
Nick, are you tired after that one?
Yeah, a little tired, a little tired.
Walk me through what your mentality was to start so hot right out of the gates.
Man, the whole mentality this week was just to finish hard, finish fast, go hard. Man, just play good ball, play clean ball. That's the whole mentality this whole week.
Coach Beamer was talking about the disappointment after last week, certainly going back to LSU. How does this group continue to rally, and how did you rally emotionally to put up the performance in all 3 phases today?
Yeah, we had a tough loss against LSU, tough loss against Alabama, so our whole thing was just keep on going. We can go 9-3, finish out, hopefully get to the playoff or whatever, but that's just our whole mentality, offense, defense, special teams, just keep on going.
Your defensive front had 9 sacks today. What is it like to stand back there and watch them perform like that?
It's easy, man. Before the season, I said we was gonna have a historic defense, and come on, 9 sacks. I think they're close to the record or something. They're great. It's easy. They make my job easy. Had 2 interceptions today.
What does the interior and the exterior of that defensive line do every single day to have that type of success?
Man, they just grind. Coach Beamer tells us to hunt. They're real life hunters. They just hunt, practice their hunting. They got hot. One of their mottos is lead the country in effort, so it shows.
Thanks, Nick. Congratulations.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
14 points for the South Carolina defense today. Nick Emmanwori now leading the SEC in interceptions with a pair that ended up in his hands. South Carolina rights a ship. They've got great momentum. For Oklahoma, it's another story. We'll get you to SEC now with Dari Thoring and Benjamin Watson. Here in Norman, we're headed to Hideaway Pizza. South Carolina with a dominating win against the Sooners. Dari, it's all yours.